3, 2, 1, and welcome back to Chasin The Racin.
And welcome back to the podcast brought to you by JCT Truck and Trailer Hire. The reason I've gone backwards on the episode sponsors this time is because we have sitting opposite us, Christian Idden, for the co-host for this episode, by the way, is none other than British champion Kyle Ryde from OMG Racing.
We've got racing royalty. We have got the British champion, the British Superbike champion.
Well, are you two friends or something? Like the way you just jump straight in.
Do you know what? Actually, we will dive straight in. Kyle is. I don't have many friends, but Kyle is definitely one of my friends that I do have, and yeah, we've always been mates. So it is cool that. When did we start being proper mates? I think it's from like doing the Whitman track days and stuff.
I feel like when you're like 5 going, are we like best mates? Mates. I feel like you've had like a handshake or like.
Stepbrothers.
Are we friends? Am I in your top 3?
It wasn't that long ago. 2022.
Yeah, that we proper started. Yeah,
2021, 2022.
Yeah, but how long have you been racing against each other? Before 22?
2020, I first started riding a Superbike.
Shut up, man.
On a Suzuki.
Because you were GP2 champion before that, weren't you?
The year before that, yeah.
And then I feel like we're getting like a fast forward history lesson, like going through.
The hard thing is where do we even start with this? Do we start at the championship?
Well,
I want to know all about them last races.
Oh, mate, that's like
let's
the
just
juice.
dive
no,
straight
but we can't. That's the juice. That was the best fucking race ever. We can't just go. There we go. It's like
everything else will be just rubbish.
You don't shag a bird and then go. Let's have foreplay after, do you?
Do you not?
No. Oh, Nicola's a lucky woman if you're like that. Jesus, man. Oh, he does love me. You know?
It's all that porridge he eats.
Quick.
Yeah, I shouldn't have said that.
Oh my God! I'll tell you what. While we're talking about this, I've totally forgot about the which is a terrible way to start any podcast. Our episode sponsor is Quick Shift Coffee. They've been on board with us for years. And Chrissy, one of his dream sponsors, was having a coffee brand on board, and Quick Shifter. A family affair, you know. hold on. Family affair. I'm trying to remember.
Start that one again.
No, we're not starting again. This is Chasin The Racin. We just roll with the fumbles here. So no, like they've been a part of the show for years now, and they've opened up a new shop. Believe it or not, so Quick Shifter have recently opened a brand new motorcycle coffee shop in. Am I saying that right, Christian? Wells.
Yeah, is that Wells next to sea? Oh no, it might be a different one then. I'm thinking Norfolk. There's Wells next to sea, but I don't know if that's the same place.
Well, Quick Shifter, I know you'll be listening, so can you send us a pin drop there so we can
in case we're in the area?
Yeah, but if you're in the area, so that if there's several wells, you're just going to have to expand rapidly and put one in every single one.
Talking about areas, we are in Jacksdale.
Hold on, you haven't let me finish. You're that excited. Your friend's opposite. Mate, hold on.
Have you got more?
I've got hold on. Well, Somerset, they are called Garage 6. The coffee served in their own garage blend, and they plan to hold a host of evenings. All right, there you are. There's a bit of winter job for you there, Christian. I like it. Get yourself down there and talk the crack. So, but no, there's a fantastic list here that I'll say towards the end of the show. But thank you so much for episode sponsoring on this side of things. But speaking of coffee, and before we go down that road, your mum's shop.
Yeah, we need to plug Kyle's mum.
Right, we've got time. Are you all right with this, Kyle?
Yeah, I'm all right.
Okay, how's that friendship going right now? The fact that he's just said, you know.
So whether she's all right with that's the big worry.
Back to plugging your mum. Sullivan's Coffee Lounge. Is that named after your dog?
It is indeed, yeah.
That is class. How long you had the dog?
3 and a bit years, Sully.
So how long has your mum had the coffee shop?
Just January this year.
And how are things going?
Very good. She's at the minute, she's made you a coffee and toasty.
Cheese and ham toasty.
They are.
And it's rammed all the time. So yeah, fair play to her.
Fair play.
And I did see some videos from when you were like people supporting you from there.
Yeah.
I was going to say we're in Jacksdale, which is like the Tavulia of Derby. You know, like. He's painting it yellow.
One way to put it.
It is, though,
yeah,
isn't it?
there's a lot of yellow.
One thing that you do see is you've got a lot of local support, and because you like your pub life, you like your snooker and being down the snooker all, don't you? And you obviously spend a lot of time with your granddad and stuff like that.
Yep.
So actually, in the local community, you've probably got a bigger local gathering than I think you've had any rider anywhere.
Yeah, it's only the last few months really. understood how big it is, especially when we went to Donington. Like the whole of Craner Curves were just full of yellow, so it was a.
It was. He actually had like his own grandstand. It was pretty mint.
Kind of Rossi.
I felt like
and yellow. It was Rossi-esque. It was literally. I say like I jokingly said like the Tavulia of Derby, but it kind of is like he had his. It was mint. It was cool to see.
And even. I know we'll touch on Spain in a bit, but even Spain, I had 30 people turn up, and even people like Bautista only get 5 or 6 people coming to watch him, and there was 25 people in
I
the
thought you were going to tell me Bautista had one of your top.
No, he did give me a set of knee sliders though at the weekend.
That's cool.
Now hold on, did you ask for them?
Yeah,
I was about to say.
Yeah.
Were you?
But not so much as in I wanted him to sign. I needed a pair, like for my leathers, because he uses Revit, and he's whatever you call him, Uccio, gave me a set. And then all mine turned up 10 sets, so I've got a brand new set. I don't even know where they are.
Did you get him to sign them afterwards?
No, I thought that was a bit too...
Wait, no.
I was supposed to use them, then I didn't. Then can you sign them? I thought, that's a bit too camp.
No, you should off, man.
I know, I should
100% you should off.
Were you welcomed into the World Superbike paddock?
Not
like,
really.
Did you see many of the other guys? Like,
so the best part of the weekend for me was Thursday.
Yeah.
And every single mechanic from every single team, even then I didn't know him, shook my hand and said, well done. So they all watched it.
Oh, that's amazing.
So I expected a few people to stop me, but I had like a helmet check to do. And we was at one end of the pit lane and it was at the other end. And it took me an hour and 45 minutes to walk the pit lane with people wanting to know about brands and the Sunday and congratulating me. And the funny thing is the most time spent with someone was Top Rack. I couldn't shut him up. All he wanted to do was help me. He was talking about brands, talking about traction control and wheelie. I didn't get a word in for 10 minutes, and then he patted me on the back and he went, "See you in a bit." That was it. I stood there in awe. I didn't ask for anything, and he gave me loads of advice. But yeah, unfortunately, my bike wasn't what it was supposed to be anyway, so I couldn't really take on any advice. But yeah, it was a good weekend.
I tell you what, I feel like we should just like we'll talk the juice of like brands and everything leading up to that. But like, how different was that challenge, and what was your expectations of that challenge stepping in the Worlds?
Yeah, I mean, I had no expectations of lap time or how far I would want to be off. I just wanted to race a few people. I know how hard it is to ride there. The last thing I wanted to do was ride round at the back, because it's not embarrassing, because it's probably one of the hardest championships in the world. The best rider in the world is participating in it. So, but I wanted to do a lot better than what I did do, for sure. And unfortunately, just due to safety reasons, I couldn't really ride on Sunday. I didn't really want to hurt myself. The bike wasn't behaving properly, and wasn't no fault of my own and my team's. It was just the position we got put in, and that was that. So yeah, I didn't ride Sunday. I enjoyed sitting in the grandstands and watching, but like I said to you before we started this podcast, I learnt a lot just by watching as well. And it's mad how different the bikes are at the back of the grid to the front, and that's why I like BSB so much, because someone on the day that sometimes finishes 15th, if he wakes up and eats the right breakfast, he can finish on the podium, and I don't think you can do that in World Superbike.
Yeah, I think it's important for people listening to this realise in BSB, like Kyle said, that most of the bikes are pretty much capable of winning. There's probably a couple that definitely aren't, but more or less every team can do it. But in World Superbikes, it definitely isn't that way. I'm going to probably step in here and say I think Kyle's hands are tied a little bit in what he can say. But yeah, there's definitely big differences in World Superbike from the front guys to the back in the support they get, especially when you add in electronics. It's a whole new world of variables, and having the right having the right electronics in the bike, but then also having the right people to do those things and make it work is very different to what we're used to in BSB. So we've seen even, let's say, Brad for 2 years do what we think he's capable of way more, and I think in this room we all believe that he is capable of way more. He just hasn't had the opportunity to show that, and that is a big shame.
Yep, big shame.
So, like, speaking on the politics side of it, it's a bit like, how do you get into those big teams on that situation? Is it literally brass? Is it literally just hard up cheddar?
But
you know what
I would say part of it, like, the people that know are aware of what the riders have got, those packages. So
yeah,
I actually think that the talent does show through, even if they're not winning races or always on the TV. So I do think it shows through. But with the Brad example, for example, I think he still hasn't had the full opportunity to show a bit more.
I'd say, like, how much, like, you see, you lads have been riding full whiskey for the last few years. You know what I mean? It's in your hand. You're constantly feeding. You're off rolling. You're constantly just trying to tyre manage. Like, how safe did you feel going from 0 to go at, like, were you just looking at your hand going, hey, bang it on? Like, how easy was that to translate for you?
My trouble was, I still believe I haven't actually rode a bike with traction.
Yeah.
That's my...
Right.
To comment on it. Yeah, it didn't work. It worked in a few corners and then it didn't work in a few others. So
right,
I've got a bike that's got a lot of horsepower and too much traction, so I was going too much throttle, and then I go 3 corners later and I've got a BSB bike, so I'm trying to tell my brain to open it because I've got traction, and then when I do 3 corners later I haven't got any. So it got to the point that it was just too dangerous, really. And yeah, it was just a shame, really, because obviously, like I said a minute ago, it's hard enough as it is. So even if I was on Johnny Ray's bike, I'd have been happy to just race a few people and I get an experience of what it's like to ride a proper World Superbike. But we just got chucked in with the deep end with a few things, and the stuff that we had on the bike, we didn't even have any data for. So we actually started from scratch, as my crew chiefs never used traction, my data guys never used traction, I've never used traction, never used wheelie control, and we all had a package that we had to start from nothing. So...
And bearing in mind, it's the final round. Everyone's done a full season,
and it's at the track that they do the most testing at as well. So
did they do around there this year, or World Superbike doesn't work like that? They always So
well, they did test there.
They did do a lot of testing there, and you lot at OMG Racing went, here's an idea. So when I tell you what, as a team, people be like interested to hear when did the ball start rolling? And actually go, Kyle, here's an idea.
Yeah,
and the big question is, did they only give you that when you won the championship, or was it?
No, it was always on.
It was always on,
but I think it was not for me, but it was a struggle for Paul and Ellen to get the bike ready, basically. I think, I didn't know this, but after the weekend was done, they said that we only just got it really done a couple of days before Brands. So it must have been stressful for them, especially going through BSB as well, trying to win that championship. But yeah, I spoke to Alan last night, for all the hard work he puts in and time and effort and money, I just wish it would have been a bit easier for him in Spain and we got a bit more of a fair crack at it, because I didn't expect to do anything amazing there, but I expected maybe I could get a few points, and the speed that was happening in 13th, 14th, 15th, I believed I could do before I even got there, because I've rode around a ref many times before on super sport bikes and other bikes, and I know what's capable, and to be honest, I was pretty pants on what was happening. So yeah, it was a bit of a shame, but for me, 5 days before that I was British champion, so I go back to that and look at it and see how well I rode, so I don't let the ref weekend factor into any of that. It's more I'm upset for people like Alan, because he deserves it just as much as what I did, really.
Yeah.
When you're out on, so I've got 2 questions, but when you're out on track, did you see anyone, and I'm probably just alluding pretty much to Top Rack, but did you see
did you
see anyone where you thought that's something impossible to do?
Yeah.
Or did they all do things that were capable for Kyle Ryde?
For everyone that passed me, so I was waiting for Top Rack to pass me at any point. That's all I wanted to. On Friday, I just wanted him to come past me.
I did text him before the weekend. I said, please, whatever you do, don't care where you finish, just outbrake him once. Even if you end up in the tyre wall, I don't care. I just want to see an FP2.
Okay, right. You text that. Please tell me you just picked up my phone and went, no.
He was quite
I started laughing, but the only time he passed me was Sunday morning in warm-up, and that was the only time that I thought that is... I wouldn't say it looked impossible, but the way he does it, and does it for half an hour, is so impressive.
Yeah.
He passed me down the start-finish straight, basically, just before you go 5th, so I got to see where he braked, and it was probably 10, 15 metres later than me, and his bike would have been... Metres, easy. And the bike would have been going 8, 9 mile an hour faster, so let's call it 25 metres, and he stopped it on a penny.
So, right, speaking to 2 BSB riders, how the fuck do you replicate that? Off the top of your head. No, you know what I mean? Like, what makes that superhuman? Like, you two must break this apart, watch it back and forth, and you've seen that in the flesh.
Yeah. Well, I'm lucky enough to actually ride parts of the Yamaha that he built himself, top rank. So didn't build him himself, obviously. But
Out with the lathe.
Yeah. So
he probably would know.
With a rollie, you know.
He dropped the seat and the tank as low as he could, basically. And that last time I don't think he won the last World Superbike Championship on a Yamaha, did he? Come second.
Aye, second.
But he was basically sat on the fuel tank. There was just a seat pad on top of the fuel tank, and there was a big hole in the seat unit to make him a couple of mil lower. And we all tried it, and the biggest difference I noticed is at Donington in the last sector, and I was really good there this time around. I could pass anyone into the old hairpin on a penny, and I think that was from him basically being obviously lower in the bike, and in the middle of the bike you could brake very, very late, and I think he does that all around the world, and he's done it on every bike. So,
but then being able as a rider to be able to go back and tell technicians, even going like briefly back in the conversation, you're talking about like a bike is almost ran by the technicians at this level.
Yeah,
you know that's a fair comment, but being able to have that feedback is a rider coming in going, I want it dropped, and that argument must be so prevalent to every rider in the world. Like, well, I want this, and the technician must be just going, no.
I think there's a hierarchy of who can demand.
Yeah, for sure. The thing is as well, the BMW at the minute for him, I feel sorry for everyone else riding one, i.e. like in England, because anything that they do to it, you can't replicate it in England. It's impossible. Because I've tried it with the Yamaha. You drop the seat, you feel the benefits that he's got, but because we've not got any traction or anything, it's so difficult. So like what I noticed in Jerez is that they can run such heavier springs in the rear because they've got traction, compared to what I'd do at BSB. So we ran out basically in FP1 with a BSB bike just so I got used to it, and within like 3 laps it was on its arse because I did have a bit of traction and I was going full throttle everywhere. And
so is that the force going through it?
Yeah, it was just flatlining. It was on its arse, and we had to then just stiffen it right up. So I think 92 was probably the highest spring I used in BSB all year, and that's to keep it in, because when the anti-squat happens and it starts to come out the shock, it starts spinning up, and you can't do that at BSB. It's got to be stuck in. So, but at Jerez, we went up to like 105 on the spring because we had traction, and because she was going full throttle, it feels like a 92 anyway because it just squats so easy. So,
Jesus.
And anything that happens in World Championship, you can't then say, go try that. It just don't work.
Yeah, I know. Like in Motor Rapido, we've been privy to almost all the World Superbike settings, and obviously then ideas form, and then you go and try it, but it just doesn't carry across. No. Not one bit. The electronics it's another world of how you have to set the bike up, and because of it, they brake so differently. Also, the brake technique is very different because we have to manage the way the engine brake comes in, whereas theirs is reactive, so they can get a bit more out of shape, where we have to stay a lot more in line because us getting out of shape actually continues. It's very hard to keep the bike from, once it starts a wobble or a weave, it's very hard to get it back in line, whereas obviously they've got some assistance so they can just not pull the lever. None of that's fair. Like Kyle's seen it, the lads don't just grab brake and grab throttle. There is obviously some finesse to it, but you can probably be a bit more aggressive with everything, can't you?
Yeah, for sure. Obviously the tyres as well, it's a massive thing. They run round on a lot softer tyres than us, so they could put a 3 kilo heavier spring in what I've got in BSB, and they'd probably still be able to pedal the bike around, if you know what I mean. We're in BSB, because we've got an SC0 and the track temp's normally quite cold, we're having to run softer rear shocks just to keep the grip in the tyre. There's a lot to it, yeah.
That goes without saying on that side of things. My God, I tell you what, while we're talking briefly about BMW, I'm pretty certain he won't be listening, but congratulations, Sean Muir. You know, for that, like, for everything that he's done to get up to this point. You know, he's gone, because was it last time he was in British? Was that with Josh Brooks on the R1?
Yeah.
Is that right? The Milwaukee R1?
Right,
yeah, then he went, I think he tried to go to World Superbike with Yamaha, and it all...
With Josh?
Yeah, and it all went to... pot, I think, and then he bought BMWs, like track bike BMWs with Josh, I think.
You know what I mean?
The red one.
Aye, yeah.
And then from then he's been on, and now
he's done. You know what I mean? He's done it, and obviously, like, and I feel like I'm taking everything away from Top Rack there, who I'm pretty damn certain he's not listening to this. But well done, Top Rack. You know, but it's just like, I'm going to ask a question. One more about like Top Rack. Could you put him on any bike from what you saw, and could he just replicate that?
i.e. MotoGP.
Nice.
Yeah, I believe at the minute in World Superbike he could win on any bike, any. And in MotoGP, I'd obviously not say any because they're that different. But I think you just give him 6 months and he'll be all right. I think if he rode a Ducati straight away, he'd be on the podium. I think any other bike, you've got to give him 6 months to a year because there are no mugs there. You think people like Zarco on a Honda, he was like 10th in free practice, which is like a race win basically. Anytime I see someone like Zarco getting through straight to Q2, I take my hat off to him. I feel like that's more impressive than Marc Marquez in first, because that bike just looks It
seems like the further you go up the championship ranks, the more the bike is important in it.
Yeah.
As in, like MotoGP, the bike is insanely important. Like we've seen the dominance of Ducati this year, literally locking out sometimes the top 8 places, which is insane, given how good the other riders are on the other bikes. World Superbike is a step down, but still there's big differences between the bikes. Step down again to BSB, and we've got a much closer. But there is differences, but it's much closer.
Yeah, there's just the rules in BSB which makes it so close, I think. But like I said to you before we started this, the trackside watch at World Superbike was mind-blowing for me because, like I said, I had a few people, when they passed me and I see them go through corners, I didn't take my hat off to them riding it. I took my hat off to the technicians, and it shouldn't be like that in my eyes.
Yeah.
If every bike was the same as that, then fair enough, it would be a close race. But the technicians are obviously, you can see some people are doing it as a hobby, and some are probably getting paid a couple $100,000 to technician on a bike. And you put obviously a really good rider on a really good bike with the best technician, and you can see it on the track. It's just mind blowing. And Belega had an advantage against Top Rack all weekend, so I don't know how he beat him in that last race. He didn't even need to. He's that determined to not let someone beat him. I think from what I watched as well, Belega had between 3.5 and 4 attempts every lap just in the last sector, and that's probably the easiest thing to do for Top Rack anyway. Like around a ref, any bike race that's professional, that last sector is probably the easiest to go fast in. There's no scratching. It's just be smooth, and Top Rack smooth. And he was losing 3.5, 4 attempts to, in my eyes, a technician, and he still beat him.
Wow.
So, yeah.
I tell you what, I feel like we can't afford it, but I would love to put all you lads, BSB lads, in a room and just mic it up, because you look at things totally different.
Well, yeah.
No. You know what I mean, though. It's like for us, we just see, we just see a bike going around a track.
Yeah.
It fundamentally, you know what I mean, brake later, do everything, but the fact that you're breaking down sectors and you're looking at throttle position of hand, and you're just thinking I feel like, Grace, if you should be listening, you're editing the podcast. I love you. You know what I mean? Let's just try and make this happen. You've got loads of friends in BSB.
No, I haven't got any friends. I've got one. We just talked about that.
We'll just Michael's too.
You've been plugging his mum, so I'm not sure this is going to last much longer, to be honest.
No more, mate.
No, but it's just, oh God, I'll tell you what, in your opinion, the pair of you, what must MotoGP, like you've seen that step up with the technician, the bike, and the importance of that. MotoGP must be a world apart again.
What, with trying to ride the bikes or with the technique? I genuinely can't imagine what it's like with all that air and stuff. I think you would need 2 weeks solid on one of them bikes to even start to comprehend. I genuinely think you do.
The best thing is though, I believe obviously if you do the 8 Ducati riders, 4 are better than the other 4, but the bikes are so similar. I know some bits are a bit older or the bike's older, but even if that technician's not as good as that one, they've got data that they just plug in straight away, and they're always learning off each other, so they're never going to be like. But between the first Ducati and the 8th, it's like what, 0.4 every weekend, and they all vary. It's only the one that's consistent that's at the front all the time.
The thing that Ducati do is they have a program, so every official Ducati in the world, it all gets put through into this same system.
Yep.
And they also have AI, which now generates a setting bank.
I wouldn't even consider that. AI, like you say, it's putting people out of film industry jobs, isn't it? Never mind bike. That's interesting. That's very interesting. Well, very tin hat. I love it, Christian.
No, but no, it's not even tin hat. It's true. It's what they have, because I know they have it. It's insane, and that's why with 8 bikes and with 8 top doers on it, they've got this world of knowledge, as well as all the V4Rs that are going around as well. Because I know it's a different bike, but data is data, and it literally all goes into this big. It's not a big computer, but it's this it's a program. So BSB data would go in, Motor America data would go in, IDM data would go in.
Crazy.
The Illuminati of bike racing.
Honestly, it's unreal.
They want to be the best, don't they? Mm-hmm. And everyone takes the hat off to them for it. You can't moan that they're the fastest. It's just biggest effort.
Yeah.
So, I tell you what, let's jump back a bit, because am I right in saying you're Red Bull rookie as well?
Yep.
Because I want
to go from the end, which was Jerez. I want to go right to the beginning.
Yeah, and then
are
you
a motorcycling family?
Yes.
So go on.
So I'll just start with my dad, basically.
Yeah.
Dad and his brother, my uncle Dean, they used to ride sidecars. Well, they raced sidecars at British Championship. Yeah.
Because he had to fix all his stuff.
Yeah. And he's still a welder now and still loves sidecars. And
right. This is a bit wrong, but I'm going to plug his dad as well.
You might as well do the lot of them there.
Just bring them in, bend them all over here.
Just for God's sake, leave the dog alone, will you?
But Jesus, genuinely, if anyone's into welding, you have to see Sean's welding. It is
top notch.
Another level.
Like a total different, like a side note before you go off, but I remember I only met your dad briefly for all of 5 minutes. It was Thruxton when Chrissy got cleaned out, and the fork leg was smashed off, and honestly I was heartbroken. I went and stole a spoon, right, from Tass, bented it, and grinded everything to make, and it was absolutely perfect. And then your dad came around the corner and went, I've welded it. And how your dad welded that.
So good.
And for the non-welders out there, the smaller the bit, the harder the work.
Yeah.
Just not to blow the heat through and alley and everything like that. And your dad, I don't even know where he went, but your dad, who's just willing to help everyone in the paddock, just came round and that got Chrissy back out on the track.
Yeah.
And I back up what you're saying.
He's a magician. He's an absolute magician.
It is pornographic welding. Yeah. But then, why didn't you go down the sidecar route? Was it just
because I ain't got any friends like me? Actually, we could do sidecars when we're done.
Well, I mean, I've got a sister, Chelsea, and she's a fair bit younger than me. So I actually got a mini moto before she was born. So I mean, if she was probably a year younger than me, I might have bought us a mini sidecar and we'd have done that. But
made you one.
Yeah, but I grew up riding motorbikes, but I was still very associated in the sidecar family. So whenever we went to a race meeting at BSB, we worked out of Ben and Tom's garage.
Birchall's?
Yep.
Oh, right.
My first ever World Supersport podium at Donington that time. We ran out of...
Hold on, what? We'll come to that.
That's
another one.
Yeah, that's another one, but that reminds me of... The bike was where it was in the garage, but we lived and ate and did everything with the Birchalls all that weekend, and we spent a lot of time in sidecar families.
God, so how did your dad get into sidecar? There's always a story that links onto a story story.
My granddad, his dad, I'm not sure if he raced sidecars, but they were mad into bikes. He owns Metmacheks. I don't know if you've heard of Metmacheks Engineering. It's 10-15 minutes up the road.
When this gets released, the Google views are going to go through the roof on it. Just bang that on there.
Yeah, the people listening will know what Metmacheks is. Used to do all LC 350 swing arms and all sorts of...
Right.
So that's still running now, but I don't think they do the swing arm stuff. And then obviously my dad and Uncle Dean's gone not separate ways between themselves, but business-wise. Dad's got a little unit up in Ripley, welding anything and everything. And like you said, obviously at BSB, he takes his own little welder that he bought to earn a bit more cash at BSB. My phone goes mental when we get there. He's like, is your dad doing anything? I'm like, I don't know, ring him. Stop texting me. I can't weld.
Can you not weld?
He taught me when I was about 16.
Have you ever done any, Dom?
Yeah. But no, I make a mess. I can't. No, I can stick 2 bits of metal together. There's a difference between welding.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same.
I'm in the forestry industry. I can stick 2 bits of metal together, no problem. It's just what You're like that level is just different, man.
What he can do is amazing. Obviously, all the pit boards and stuff that I've ever had are made by my dad.
He does them hangers and stuff, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's done hangers, and I think he's the one thing that I don't know the word for it. I'm trying to think. Basically, he's made a wheel rack, all pit boards and stuff for Ross's Moto2 team that time.
In Ripley.
Yeah. You know the VR46 when Bagnaia was on when he won the championship. If you have a look, all those stands and everything was made by my dad.
While we're at it, is there a link someone can go to have a look at some of his stuff? Has he got a site or like that?
I should have thought about that, wouldn't I?
Right.
Just text me.
Text Kyle.
The number's on the bottom of the screen on the YouTube,
Grace,
by the way.
Grace, can you edit in a little thing here, please, Grace? Because we'll put that up
he has
on the
got an
screen.
Instagram account, 77 Fabrications. I'm sure Grace will be able to put some somewhere.
She will.
Yeah.
It's on the screen now. Ba-ding!
I'm actually going to watch this one back to see if
she got the timing right.
Put the pressure on.
And then my Uncle Dean on the other side, he still builds sidecars. He started building them 5-6 years ago, and he's actually, I don't know if this has come out yet, but he's got a real decent sidecar driver using his sidecars.
Go on then, how are you?
I said his name about 5 minutes ago. I don't know if there's any news or anything, but
We might not be by the time this is out.
yeah. But he's puts a lot of hard work in, Uncle Dean. I wish I rode sidecars so I could do a bit for him, but
So you must be quite connected to the roads then, in a roundabout way. Obviously with the Birchells being the most successful TT.
me and Dad's gone over 5-6 times, spent the week with them.
See, this is normally me closing question than most of it, but have you ever...
No.
Wow, shut me down there.
Shut you straight down.
Don't need to answer.
Not a chance, Herbertson. Not a chance. Not like never...
Doesn't interest me at all.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know.
Fair enough.
I think I'd like a go in some sort of ways, but at the same time, I enjoy playing dominoes on a Wednesday night with my granddad, and if something happened and I couldn't do that, I'd be fuming. So.
No, I like it, mate. Yeah. I like it.
I'm going to get onto those your other hobbies later because that is quite interesting. All those other hobbies, which are fucking good at everything you do. To be fair, it's one of them people.
Except welding.
Except welding.
I've only had one go at it, and I did all right. Dad said for my first go it was quite impressive, but then I didn't have any interest after that.
You can. I'm telling you now, you can tell you two are close mates because we went motocross in the beginning of the year, didn't you? And you just went, Kyle's just fucking good at everything. I went, what do you mean? He goes, he hopped on a cross and went fast, no style, but he just went fast. It's just
no, it wasn't that. His style was pretty good. What was impressive is Kyle. You haven't done much motocross, have you? So obviously I'm banging to my motocross. Kyle gets a bike, comes up to my local flipping thing where I'm the local legend. And I'm like, it's taking me a bit too long to catch him than I'd like here. And I was not beating my own drum too much, but as a kid I was half decent, I would expect to have caught him a bit quick. I'm like, you must have done more than this. Nah, just watch some videos. I was like, fuck off, you absolute... He picks stuff up like anything.
But then you play golf, snooker.
Yeah, actually, I'm gonna go straight into the question. So,
go straight in.
It's the interesting one about your other hobbies, right? So, motocross aside, because you kind of not bang into it, are you? You do a bit, but you're not bang into it. I know you like your cycling and stuff, but you're not super bang into it.
No.
But you are bang into your dominoes down the pub with your granddad.
Yeah.
You're bang into your snooker, darts, golf.
Yeah.
Which are all polar opposites to racing motorbikes. So
and you can make a lot more money.
Yeah, you could.
But is there something you get from those sports that you don't get from racing? And two-part question: if you could choose the one you wanted to be best at, which one would you choose?
Definitely.
Or any, to be fair, any of the sports.
To be honest, all these hobbies I've got, and it was following on from what you just said a minute ago, I don't like being shit at things. So I took up snooker. I always played pool down the pub, and I played for the social in the team on a Thursday. And obviously, having a cue in my hand, I thought I'll just go and have a game of snooker, and I was shit at it because it's so hard. It's a completely different game to pool. It's the same thing, putting a ball in a pocket, but that's where the mechanical side of your arm and all the other stuff come into it. And I had to learn a completely different sport, even though it was still a cue and a set of balls. And I spent 4 or 5 years playing snooker, really enjoyed it. And then I've had like 8 or 9 centuries since then.
Translate a century?
100, bro.
Getting 100, which is... You have to be pretty much nearly a pro to start hitting centuries. Have you ever hit a 147?
No, I've had a 135, which is my best, and all the rest.
In the 135, what did you have to go for some lower balls on the way through, or did you miss the end?
I think I had to take a yellow and a green and something else.
Right.
But I potted
So it wasn't on until...
It was the full lot.
Yeah, nice.
All 15 reds and all
Big
the
clearance.
colours. Big clearance.
Nice. I'm just going to get in because we're competitive. I've played Kyle once at pool and I am 1-0 up.
Yeah, he beat me. But
Just want to put this out there.
that was at Knockhill, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, yeah. And then he said,
I had a broken wrist. No, I didn't.
he says, do you want to go? No, not a fucking chance. I'm done. That's it.
1-0
That's me. I'm done.
forever. But yeah, snooker, that was that. And as I got older, like, I think I've always not been into golf, always watched it, but I've never played it. And every time I went to the driving range, just used to do my head in because I was no good at it. I could always hit the ball, but it was never going straight. So I gave up. And I was missing out on the social side because all my mates did it. All of them was going on like golf holidays, this, that, the other. So
You're only like 15. He's talking like a 40-year-old man, aren't you? Like what? Like something like
27.
I missed all the holidays. And the wife's kicking me in. Like Jesus.
But it was, I wanted to go on a golf holiday, and I didn't want to spend between £1,000 and £1,500 if I got there and I was shit, because it would really annoy me and I feel like I waste my money. So I got fitted to some clubs and I got a bit better. And then I booked my first golf holiday. My first handicap was about 19, and then now I'm playing off 7. So if you don't know what golf is, it's when I turn up to a golf course, the course gives me 7 shots. So on the other 11 holes, I have to par the hole. That's my handicap.
Jeez, do you know what golf stands for, by the way?
No, go on.
No, I've been told this.
I think I'm about to learn something really.
No, but I've been told this.
Do you know golf? Hold on, let's ask the golf.
No, I've been told this by a mate, not Google or facts. This is what a mate's told us, but apparently it stands for gentlemen only. Oh, hold on. Nah, I'm gonna bring him back. Hold on, check.
It sounds wrong already. He's only done the GO.
You carry on talking. I've totally sold this down the river the wrong way. But
yeah.
have you
Right, and I want people to comment below what they think golf stands for.
This isn't live, you know that, don't you? No, but like, did you get training as well? You know, with golf.
I had a few lessons.
Like that's. Have you always been this competitive? Like always?
Or have you always been able to pick things up the way you do?
Yeah, I've been able to pick things up, but in my opinion, snooker and golf are the hardest 2 sports in the world. As in,
next to motocross.
Yeah, but we race bikes professionally, but you do the same thing repetitively on different tracks. Where golf, there's like 4 different games into one. There's like you put in, which is hard enough as it is, hitting your driver, which is for me impossible. I can do it sometimes. My iron game's okay, but it's like playing 4 different games in a 4-hour period. Where like snooker, although it's very hard to do a 1-4-7, you're doing the same thing all the time. As long as you're at the middle of the white ball and you're quite accurate and your arm's straight, you're doing all right. But that's why I enjoy golf. One, because the social side, it gets you out. I lost about 3 kilos this summer just by walking with a carry bag, so that was beneficial. Leathers didn't fit me when I come to about August. I'd lost that much weight playing golf.
Shut up, man.
I know, everyone kept saying, bloody hell, you've been doing some cycling. I says, no, I've done about 84 holes this week.
No wonder he lost the weight. No wonder he lost the weight. 84 holes.
And that's
not throwing under the bus yet.
That's a steady weekend.
Been doing some plugging.
lads. That's Mike. But the fact that it sounds like you can't. Your enjoyment is excelling at it. I can sense that. But in the same breath, it's like you get into something. You're like, I'm shit at it, and immediately you go and get training at it, and it's that's got to be a certain mindset.
What interests me the most is they're so different to what you
normally do. Yeah,
normally do. So is that a conscious thing, or do you get something different from it?
It's not. No, I don't do it to get a different vibe or feeling other than racing. It's just the stuff I'm into. I don't.
Definitely.
Yeah, I don't. There's no reason for it. Really.
And is golf the one that you would? Just,
yeah, 100%.
Out of what you were saying.
If I could be a professional golfer for a week just to feel the flushed golf shots, then that'd be pretty cool. But it's like that because you know as well. I've rode a motorbike since I was 5 years old, and I love doing it. And obviously, like this year, I've loved it even more for that reason. But like the golf side, because it's not many people want to ride a bike. It's dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
So although there's a lot of fans out there that want us and like us to ride bikes and watch us, the viewing of like golf around the world, racing's got what 0.5% on what golf has. So it's not so much that you watch golf videos on YouTube or you see a pro shoot this and you watch it. You can't really type in Marc Marquez riding 30 laps of that, and I'd be like, I've got to watch that again. Where with golf, for some reason, I could watch the same video 15 times. Strange. Just addicted, basically.
So do you have an addictive personality?
Yeah, but it's always a period. But I feel like snooker was a few years. Motocross, I did a few years at it. But the motocross side now, I just enjoy going to Moto 101 really, because I know the track and it's pretty safe and it's good fitness. So I've not got that much of addiction for that. But golf, I feel like that's something I can do now for 25, 30 years.
And actually enjoy that side of it.
Yeah.
But so, like, let's go back, like, the family side, you know, like, the sidecar element and everything. So, what age would you have been when you first got on a bike?
I think 6.
6?
5 or 6, yeah.
But then the word addiction doesn't exist.
Not as a 6-year-old.
No, but you know what I mean, though. It's just
did you enjoy it from the beginning?
Yeah, I can't really remember 6 to like 8 or 9.
Concussions, they get you, don't they?
But one thing I do remember, because Dad's got a video of it on a camera recorder somewhere, my first ever go, I used to go around a little car park, and then we got a bike that was a bit better, a bit faster, and we went to Benidorm. It went on like a ferry. We went out there, and it was like I don't know if you've ever heard of it. There's a kart track in Benidorm, and they used to go with, Fab Racing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They used to go for there as like a testing thing before you go racing in England. They used to rent it out for a week, and you used to ride around the same track for a week.
Is it the one that goes slightly up a hill, like round?
Yeah,
I've raced a World Supermoto there.
Yeah. It's on the hill. It's like Finish Strat, I think.
That's it, Finish Strat, yes, the name.
So we used to go there every year from when I was probably 6 till I was about 11, 12. But my first ever go, I flipped it, basically. This mini moto went straight out. I think Dad's down the bottom with me. He pushes me off. Someone's up here videoing me like that, and I just flip it, land straight on my back. And I said, that's it. I'm not going on it again. It took him about a day and a half to get me back on it. And then I've spent the next 3 days loving it, but yeah.
So at what point did you start racing? Was that like the start of racing?
Yeah, it'd have been like 8 or 9 at Fab Racing in the littlest class. And what's a cool fact, I don't know, there's a picture somewhere, Dad's got it. My first ever race at Fab Racing was the same as Brad Ray's first ever race at Fab Racing, and we both finished last and second to last.
That's mega.
We both got lapped like fucking 3 times. Crazy, isn't it?
So if you're a talent spotter, start at the bottom.
Yeah.
But that's it.
So yeah, basically. But we started the first races together. We both finished last and second to last.
There was someone out there with a timesheet now going, I remember when they were shy.
But there's because there's that mint picture now doing the rounds of Kyle, Taz and Brad, which is mega from the rookies days.
Yeah,
was it rookies, wasn't it?
Yeah. Same track as well.
So how did you go from that, like, Fab Racing days? What was the period between that and that, or how did that come about?
So I bet when I was probably 10 or 11, so we had a 50cc metric kit for a year. Brad won it, I come second. Mm-hmm. Then we had a 70cc metric kit. Brad won it, and I come second.
I'm sounding like the light, Brad.
And then the year after, we had an 80cc metric kit, and it was very difficult to ride those in England because the tracks, you needed to be on a proper track.
Yeah.
So at the time, there was a Spanish championship, the CEV basically, which is now, in 2009 or whatever, might have been before that actually, but they ran an 80cc metric kit class, and the riders that was in that is incredible. If you could find some of them now.
One of them timesheets where you look down at it and you see they're all
unbelievable
GPs.
And I think there was like 6 meetings, and me and Brad qualified on the front row, I think at 5 of them.
Mega. And
all the people we beat was, honestly, it's crazy.
So like, even from that, was it just because like the 2 families had the same... same dreams, because like Brad's all the way like down at the bottom of the country, isn't he?
But we set off from here, picked Brad and his dad up, put their bikes in the back of that. We had a motorhome with a garage in the back, and we used to drive down to Spain. We did it 6 times in a year. Me and Brad watched Max and Paddy the whole way there. That's why we've got the humour that we've got now. And then we watched it all the way back as well.
So, like, what was your dad's ambition for you at that age? Like, if you could, I feel like we should just drag him in, go grab him out the house or something, bring him in. But like, what the parents go through, as you know, and like all riders appreciate that. But like, I think your dad were packing you up and going off to Spain.
It was probably still a hobby, not a hobby. He believed, Kev's dad Brad's dad and my dad obviously believed that we were really good on a motorbike, obviously. But I don't think at that time it was really expensive. I know bike racing's expensive, but there's certain elements of bike racing that's expensive. And I think at the time, as a family and a few sponsors, doing that in Spain, because there was only 6 of them, wasn't the end of the world. But even at that time, whatever year it was, to progress from that was terrible. Because all the Spanish kids took up every team in the next level, because the Spanish Federation paid for them to go in it.
To like 125?
Basically, yeah. So we was beating most of these kids that are now, some of them are in MotoGP, etc., etc. But the federation in Spain paid for them to go up to these teams. So it was a Spanish championship because they was all Spanish, basically. It was a shame, but we still entered the races the year after. And as the older we got, the slower you get down the timesheets, because then the bikes get better. And like I said earlier, not technicians, but what's got the most money and who's paying for the better bikes. And we're just dad and lad riding a 125. It gets difficult, really. So you soon realise that you're going to wheedle your way back home and race somewhere here, because we didn't really get the backing that some of them do now. Some of the kids at the time now, in the years now, they're quite lucky, aren't they? I think that they're getting pushed a lot more, and obviously we just probably wrong time, wrong place, really. 10 years too early. But
so you went over the 80s 125, and then did you come home a bit before Red Bull Rookies? So racing home for a bit.
2011, I was just old enough to do BSB 125, and I was just old enough to do Red Bull Rookies.
Oh, so that
same
time.
Did you win the championship that year?
I won the championship in England.
But are you still the youngest ever British champion?
Well, there's a fact.
Probably.
Well, you were at the time.
Yeah.
So,
to win a race, no, because I think Storm might have done it on like a Moto3 bike when he was really young.
Okay.
But when it was a 125, I won the championship when I was 14. 13.
In your first year in BSB?
First year in BSB.
Nice.
And at the 14, you wouldn't have known the tracks, because obviously you've gone from Fab, like go-kart tracks,
basically,
over to Spain.
But that's where my dad is clever. He built, not many people know this, he built it was a Honda RS125 chassis with an 80cc engine in it that I'd raced from the year before, and he took me to Bemsey, and I was allowed on a special licence to ride in the Super Team class on all the BSB tracks.
Right.
So hats off to my dad for that.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't have won the championship without that, basically. At the time, you just think dad wants me to race, but he's obviously clever.
Yeah. And that was on with RS Racing, wasn't
it? Yeah. Right. 2010 was the prototype he built. He called it a Herbie because it was a Honda and it had a 80cc Derby engine in it. So it had a big Herbie sign on the side.
I like that.
And I had to use that bike to get my ACU licence and stuff to ride for Ryan Saxelby the year after, and we ended up winning. But there's loads into that year that you don't factor in, that I had Red Bull Rookies and you got a contract that you've got to do that, but 2 of the meetings clashed.
With the year you won the championship?
Yep.
Right.
But I was fortunate enough that the 2 that clashed was a bank holiday in England, and I flew home Sunday night and started from the back of the grid in both races.
No way.
Yep.
Bloody yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So, I tell you what, the amount of times that Red Bull Rookies comes to surface on the show is phenomenal. And, like, from what I know about Red Bull Rookies is it was an open invitation element, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was it online? You literally online, and you put an application in, didn't you?
Yeah, and then you have to go somewhere and ride a bike, and then they pick you.
Aye, then they go through that sort of like.
Yeah.
Can you remember that news coming in, like from your dad, like coming in, going?
I remember it. Yeah, there was me. I think Taron was there and Brad all at the same time. it'd have been the end of 2010, and we all had to go and ride. They was 80cc bikes as well. So we're fortunate enough that me and Brad was on the 80cc bikes anyway, and the bikes that they had to like scout, they was 80cc's as well. But I think you've ridden there. Is it Monte Blanco?
Yes, yeah, I've been there.
But it wasn't the full track. It was like,
I was going to say, it's a long front straight on an 80cc.
There was like a little, you could turn the track into like half a track. You come through the middle bit and then join onto the last corner.
Right.
I can't really remember it because I've not been since. But yeah, we all got picked, which was pretty cool.
But even at that, so what age would you have been there?
I would have been 13, I think.
At 13, what were your ambitions?
Well, at 13, you want to get to the 125 class. That was what it was at the time.
But you never thought big picture. You were just like, I want to get to 125.
I want to be, I want to get to 125s. But everything we'd done prior to that, the 80cc, the people you were beating, when they went to the 125 class in CEV, they were first, second and third every weekend because they just got the chance on a good bike, and they've got back in, and feel sorry for mum and dad, but we were never going to be able to, with this passport at that time, us family from Jacksdale, it was impossible. We was good at riding bikes at the time, but got no chance, fortunately.
It is. We speak about it quite a lot on the pod, but to get a career in racing, so many things have to go in line, don't they? It's very different to a lot of other sports because the opportunity has to arise, and the opportunity has to arise at the right time, and you then have to perform at that right time.
Yeah.
And all them things have to fall into place. It's a tough one compared to a lot of other sport. It really is.
But even like, for example, let's say for a 125 ride in CEV, let's say it was like 70 grand. Not only was the Spanish probably federation willing to pay for that Spanish kid to go into that team, they'd rather have, even if we did have 70 grand, they're still going to rather have him because he's Spanish and all the mechanics are Spanish, the team's Spanish, the sponsors are Spanish.
What's your Spanish like?
It's average. But even that, so not only have we got no money to try and get that ride, even if we did have 70 grand, they'd probably still choose them anyway. So then you'd probably have to up it up to like 100 grand for them to even think about an English rider. So looking back at it now,
and then there's every possibility you wouldn't get exactly the same treatment.
Yeah. So,
Jesus, do you think that's much changed now?
Well, the way I look at it as well, I don't think at the time I thought they've got it good or they're lucky.
Yeah.
I think that we got it bad. I don't think they got it good. I think that's what should happen. Because you see like Italians and Spanish people, they just throw them at it, don't they? Really, and they get chances all the time.
When you look at the countries involved in, let's just take straight MotoGP, it's not because there's better riders that live in Italy and Spain and now starting to be like the eastern countries. It's they've had the opportunities to come through. It isn't that Europeans aren't as good. It's not Brits aren't as good or Americans aren't as good or whatever it is. It's just the opportunities that arise aren't the same, and the career paths are quite different, which is obviously why we usually go down the Superbike path.
Yeah.
You
know, it's not that like, you have to get flipping born in Italy or Spain to actually be good on a bike. That's not true.
It's literally in the water.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's not one of those things.
Go. But now there's Moto3 teams signing 14-year-olds in CEV for when they're 18 in Moto3.
Hopefully the ones at the back of the grid because they're the fast ones. Obviously,
that's obviously fact. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But like, so how did you fare in Red Bull rookies at that point then? So you've obviously won the British title from flying back and forth and everything like that. But how did you fare in Red Bull rookies that year?
Yeah, I was not very good at all, really. There's so many stories you could say, but I never felt like it was fair. Or the bikes, the bikes was always supposed to be the same, the KTM 125s, and that was it. But being 13, what you're supposed to know, you just listen to what your dad tells you. But
that's the thing, isn't it?
There's 3 kids that have got 2D on the bikes, and the rest hasn't.
Mm-hmm.
So they've got like data, and some hasn't. And in my opinion, at the time, it just seemed like something that was being run that in MotoGP, i.e. 125, 250, and the MotoGP, if they didn't have any German people in the 125 class, then all of a sudden a German rider won Rebel Rookies. Not only won it, but won 10 out of 11
nice
races.
Coincidence.
And then he goes straight into the Red Bull team, if you know what I mean. I think it's changed a fair bit now.
Yeah.
And it's a lot more fair because, like you say, I didn't think Lucas Brown, who's rode really well this season in British Moto3, for the size he is, I think he's rode really well, and he's been given a chance straight away into Red Bull Rookies. Where back when I was that age, there was a lot of riders as fast as me and Brad or whatever, but they was too big or too small, and it was very like politically wrong. But yeah. I did a few good races. I enjoyed being in the paddock at MotoGP. We ran alongside MotoGP, and I got to ride some amazing tracks that I've not been able to ride since. So it was a great experience. But yeah, the English side was a lot better because my bike felt amazing. And every time I spoke to Ryan, my problems that I said on the track was always he backed me up basically. Even as a 14-year-old. The issues I had with suspension or whatever, when I come in, he taught me a lot. And if I said it was doing this, he'd correct me and say, no, it's actually doing that. And come the end of that year, normally, if I come in and say it's doing this, I was right. So I learnt a lot. But when I went to Red Bull Rookies, I didn't have a clue what was going on because there's no data.
Yeah.
Every time you said you wanted to do something, they didn't really do anything. It was just, that's your gearing. That's that. Go and ride it. And it was difficult.
So the Rookies thing didn't quite pan out.
No, 100% didn't pan out. Yeah.
But obviously you've won 125s, and then so did that lead on to something? Like, did that open some doors, or what was the?
I think we went. Yeah, basically, I've had 3 or 4. I think 3 now, where I've done really good in a year, and I've had a chance to go in on a world scene, and then it's always fell backwards. But that, like what you said, I got a chance with Racing Steps Foundation, which at the time was the only English thing that gave English riders a chance.
Yeah, because they've had... So McPhee's been through there, hasn't he?
Fraser Rogers been through there. Me, Wayne Ryan had a go. John McPhee. Yeah. And yeah.
Because they do that in car... Is it still going, Racing Steps?
I'm not sure.
I know they did it in cars.
I've never even heard of it.
I don't think so.
It was like a way to get talent through that didn't have their own funds. It was a way
I think they had a one-bike team in MotoGP, the Moto3 class, and they had a couple of riders in CV. I was one of them. I did it for 2 years, and I had a few really good races, and I was always between like 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and I could never seem to just find that extra little bit. And that at that level, that was where people shone. Fabio Quattararo smoked us all year, and he was, at the time, I think he was even 2 years younger than me. I was 15, 16, and he was like 13 or 14, and he blitzed everyone, most places. I beat him once. I beat him once at Navarra.
That timesheet, yeah. I feel like we should bring your folder out there.
And it was, it was such a shame that you was at the time, you're riding with people that are now factory Honda riders in World Superbike and people in MotoGP. But yeah, it is what it is. I ain't complaining. I've got this nice trophy next to me.
I know we haven't actually mentioned his friend that he brought in. No, quite nicely. We wanted to put Kyle's friend, which is, for those audio listeners, is his BSB Champions trophy. We wanted to put it on the shelf. It doesn't even.
Fucking Notre Dame. Oh, Jesus. What?
It didn't even fit on the shelf. Did it?
No, it's we've gone from plugging his mum to talking about his big trophy now. This is turning in quite sure. It's
porno.
It is straight up, but not like yet again, mate. That is. I tell you what, I don't want to jump straight into that race, and I can't wait to do it. But let's you went down that route. Let's keep that story going. I'm really fascinated by it. So you've gone from back into there. You're watching like lads around you who blitzing out and doing really well. So you've gone from. What's the next part of that story?
Yeah,
we came back to British.
There's 2 years in CEV Moto3, and then I come back to England, and we raced for Craig Fitzpatrick on a stock 600 bike, and I won the championship.
I was going to say, and Julie won that championship.
And this is when the momentum starts coming here, isn't it?
Every time you doubt yourself, me and Dad fly to Spain, ride there, you come 8th, you doubt yourself a bit. do I deserve a go, whatever, and you come back to England, I've never rode a 600 before, never done this, and I won straight away.
Is that literally just skill set? Obviously, there's a talent behind that, but is that...
It was a full package. My bike was good. Craig's very good, especially with an R6. But you can't... It's a bit like BSB. It's not like one bike was... The bikes was from a shop. So it's not as if one bike was better than others. You're not allowed to tune them. So it was a very fair, hard championship, in my opinion, and I managed to win it. That was by 1 point as well, I think.
Jesus, wait.
So we're now one British Championship deep, a national championship deep already by 2014. Then, because I've known you for years, and actually I looked through I did do some notes.
Yep.
And your career path has actually been like a full blown roller coaster.
Basically, yeah.
Completely. But the following year was another good one. It was another high. In fact, probably on the face of it, when you look back, one of the most impressive seasons I think you've done, because you finished, was it second the following year?
Second to Luke Stapleford, yeah.
Yeah, but you beat, so you've now stepped up to British Supersport, your first year in full Supersport.
Yeah.
Beat Jake Dixon and Glenn Irwin to 3rd and 4th in the championship.
Yeah.
And it was the end of that year, was it? When the race happened that I really want you to talk about.
Yeah, no, that was the same, it was at May. So that.
Oh, so it was in the middle of the year?
In the middle of the year.
Okay, so anyone that's not seen it, Keenan Softwoglu, who's probably now, if you've not watched racing before, you know, probably just see him sat in the garage with Top Rack. But yeah, an absolute legend, the legend of Supersport, I would say, ever. I bet he's the most winningest rider, probably.
Yeah,
gotta be.
Yeah,
gotta be. And Donington Park wildcard, and I remember watching it.
I haven't actually watched this
Have you
race,
not?
so I'm
good race.
I know. I'm pulled up later on watching this.
Come on, Kyle, talk us through this.
We entered World Supersport at Donington. I can't remember why. I was 16, and I've only had like a year on a 600. And I think what did it was when we went testing on the Supersport bike, we went to Jerez, and I did a 43.9. And for anyone that knows, that year would have been on pole position for World Supersport. It was when Van der Mark won the World Supersport. Mm-hmm. I was a tenth faster than him on my BSB bike. So I think we come up with the idea that we'll save a bit of money up and we'll try and do Donington, because it was my favourite track anyway. And I stuck it on the front row, right next to Keenan Softwoglu.
As a wild card?
As a wild card.
On what bike?
An R6.
An R6.
And they
on your Fitzpatrick bike.
Yeah, and they had traction and everything as well. And
on a Kawasaki?
Yeah, they had, that year they had Morelli. So the MV, Kawasaki, everything had traction when we decided not to, because I've only had a year on a Supersport bike. Not even that. So qualified on the front row, set off, had a bit of a ding-dong with Keenan and Cluzel for a few laps, and then they pulled the finger out and pulled away a bit, but I ended up finishing 3rd. So crazy.
It wasn't just a few laps that they had a ding-dong.
I was there for half the race.
Yeah. And
then, obviously, I was a 16-year-old kid who likes going to the skate park. I'd probably not have trained a day in my life, and I was blowing out my arse. But I dug deep, and I stood on the podium. It was a great weekend, yeah.
But that surely, the fact that you went and took it to Keenan and Cluzel, like I said, Keenan must be the most winningest rider in Supersport. Cluzel can't be that far off, actually, just for the number of years he's been in it. You went and took it to him on a British Supersport spec bike. This kid, eyebrows were raised.
I tell you what, they must be sitting in a Turkish bar going, remember that English kid? What was his name? He won a BSB. I can't remember his name, but fucking what a just.
It was funny, actually. If you watch the race back, you'll see Kyle's roll speed, like especially at Redgate, it was insane. It was like, you can just imagine it in Kyle's helmet going, get out of the way, Keenan.
Yeah, but like at that
fucking multiple world champion.
Yeah, but it's 16.
Move.
but that's what I mean. At 16, so you know, like at this point, you're very, very immersed in politics of bike racing. You know what I mean? You've gone through Red Bulls. You can see this. You can see different changes. Like, did you pull up on the grid, knowing exactly who was to your left and right? Like, hold on. And do I dare say, did manners come into it, or did Kyle Ryde just turn up and go, "You're getting a strip"?
No, I'm very. I look into the data side as well, and I could see they was old enough. They're doing what I'm doing now, so they was doing race runs, and I was just going out and riding my bike. I probably couldn't string 6 laps together because I'd never trained a day in my life. loved bike racing, and I loved Donington Park. So I knew the race was going to be hard, because in BSB, probably at the time, the races was 12 laps, and all of a sudden I had to do 20 on a Supersport bike at that speed as well. So, but what was more impressive as well is when we did BSB there the month before, I think my fastest lap was like a 31.7, and I did a 30.2 at World Supersport on the same bike. So I went 1.5 seconds quicker somehow.
Just because
Did you go back there that year?
No.
Oh, I was gonna say, what did you do later on in the year?
There was only one Donington, yeah.
What's the lap record on a Supersport now?
So
it's Gen 2.
Yeah, now it's like a 29.1, but they're on slicks, CX, and the track got redone as well, which was about a foot.
I mean, World Supersport are now doing 27s, which is what BSB is doing.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
It's crazy.
27s?
Yeah.
Aye, which is what we do. More or less.
I think low 28 they did in qualifying.
Yeah.
But at the time, I think two years ago, it might have been 3, when Domi Agata won the World Championship. The track was on the old track, and obviously they'd add slicks and whatever, and his fastest lap was a 30 flat, so he only went like a tenth quicker than what I went
all them years back.
8 years ago or something. Yeah.
So, like, the next question for me is, you pulled in, you've podiumed, you're blowing out your gasket.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What happened? Like, did the world open up, or were you expecting opportunities? Were you thinking, what was your thought process at that point?
Nothing at the start. The first person to come and congratulate me was Keenan. He gave me a hug. Never spoke to him before in my life. He was very...
impressed.
Yeah, he was impressed. And he was a nice bloke. Cluzo was the same. And it wrote, like Christian said a minute ago, it rose a few eyebrows. And I got a chance in World Supersport on an R6, which obviously we took.
Was that, if you don't mind me asking, was that a free ride?
It was a free ride.
I was about, deservingly so, let's face it, you know what I mean?
So, yeah, it was a free ride, and it was on Sam Lowes' ex-winning World Supersport bike, which...
What team was that, Kyle?
Can you remember it was called Yaknik?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
It was like a red and green...
The Russian team, Russian squad, yeah.
And it was a... But it wasn't ran by...
No, they were Russian.
No.
Not Russian to get to the race.
No, I'm fully aware of that. I just can't... No, I don't know why I laughed. I'm just thinking I can't think of a Russian team in especially now with the war.
But those bikes was, at the time, there was rockets.
Yeah.
And it was a rocket, but unfortunately, after 4 meetings, everything went bust. So I was enjoying that as well, and I feel like I was building into it, and it was nice that, because I've had a few chances at the world stage on other bikes, and I always felt that my bike wasn't up to scratch. That was the first time I was down in like 12th, 13th, 14th, but I could see progression, and every time someone fast come past me, I could keep up with them down the straight. And at that level, that's what you need. Mm-hmm. You just know then that it's in you to build a bit of confidence.
That year you felt you hadn't just quite found your feet yet, but it was
going to happen at some point, because the bike was mega. Mm-hmm. It was a rocket ship. I was always like top six in the speed traps, and for someone that was a second and a half off to be that high up in the speed traps, your bike's very fast because you're basically 15th out the corners, but you're 6th down. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So that was a shame that happened. And then there was a few other teams that like just put a bike out for me. I rode at MV. That was probably to this day the worst bike I've ever ridden in my life.
Go on. Why?
So like so obviously it went bust, the R6 thing. I can't even remember the team name. I don't want to either. It's that bad.
Wow.
It's so bad.
Wow.
So bear in mind, the year before I finished 3rd at Donington, and I did a 30.1. I went there on this MV and I couldn't do a 31. Did a 32.3 or something, and I was sweating. I'd actually trained a bit and all, because I'm in World Supersport, and I would go 2 seconds slower. I felt like I was riding around in a transit van. It was awful. So I crashed twice at the same corner because the blipper didn't work. I basically went for a gear and it opened like 60% throttle, and I took the front, and then I went out the next session. I went up to McLean's, I went back to second, it did the same thing, and I crashed again. So...
And your confidence must have just been going down and down and down.
But even though you'd had this really difficult year, you then got another shot the following year, and with a good squad.
Yeah, and it was just as bad. but I think that was more...
So the following year you signed up to be Keenan's teammate?
Yeah, for Pacetti.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it cost $100,000 to do it.
So you got asked to bring some finance?
Yeah.
Right.
So you've gone from years of like, obviously not free rides, you know what I mean? You and the family going over and racing. So someone goes, right, you have to bring $100,000. Where do you just pull that from?
That was the year that kind of, not broke us, probably broke mum and dad, but I got a chance that I never thought I'd get. Mm-hmm. It was with someone that had won a championship 5 times, world championship. The bike was pretty good. And I think that was the same year that the new R6 come out. And at the time, there was, long story short, I really didn't like the bike. I couldn't get along with it at all.
Did you find it didn't suit your style?
Yeah, like the R6, I just used to just get off the brake and roll around the corners, and that Kawasaki was almost like Top Rack, basically. It was built to stop well and fire out the corners. And even with... I'd be quicker than Keenan through the middle of the corner, but over the lap, I'd be 1.8 seconds slower because he was a lot older and a lot more skilled at stopping the bike, and I was just so laid back and wanting to just carry corner speed. I just relied on my talent just to do it. But a few tracks that we went to, the bike just automatically worked so when I went to Imola, I qualified 4th straight away.
Because the start of the year actually started out pretty good. I think you got
4th at Phillip Island,
and 6th in the first 2 rounds or something like that.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
No, I know, but
it was that next step.
But it just never worked for you.
Yeah,
you couldn't replicate it track on track.
Basically, there was never somewhere we turned up and we're like, we're fast. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was always about there or a bit worse, and that was annoying. But when we got to the end of the year, I actually didn't race the last 2 meetings because it wasn't working at all. So,
and the fact that, and what age was this?
So that was 2017, so I can't remember. I'm 27 now.
Good thing you can ride a bike.
7 years ago. I'd have been 19, 20.
And at that point, I'm not being funny, but you know what money is at that. You know what money is at 30, but...
We did all sorts. Community year, we did fundraisers. Someone actually gave us a car to raffle off.
And that $100,000 as well, obviously you need more because you've got to live, but you also got to get there to the races.
So
was that ever over your head?
Oh, yeah, it was... So... I think mum and dad and as a family sponsors, we didn't finish paying that. So bear in mind, I stopped racing for Pacetti in September. I don't think we finished paying them until June the next year.
Oh, clearing the bill.
Clearing the bill. So we're actually paying someone, and I'm not even riding for him for like 7 or 8 months. And at the time, I'm 19, so I don't really understand. I just know it's cost my sponsors and my family a lot of money. Remortgage the house and
Jesus.
So I mean, like at the moment, you're only 19 still.
Yeah, I know.
I know. Yeah,
I've been on a roller coaster.
The roller coaster that you've had, literally from starting out, it's all good fun,
to 19,
to going Red Bull rookies, but that didn't quite work out, to winning the British Championship, to then struggling a little bit at World Championship, then winning another national championship.
Yeah.
Doing amazing in Supersport, and then having now a dip again.
Yeah.
Where you've gone to Worlds and it's been difficult.
Yep.
You're $100,000 plus deep. You, your family, your friends. You're only 19. It's another reset. You're literally on your second dip already. Was it another reset? Or did you ever think, I'm done with it already at 19? Or what was
when you put it
it's
like
a lot,
that?
Isn't it?
That's a lifetime of racing.
It's a lifetime of anyone's. If you think what people go through in life, right? What sport does for you in a condensed period of time, all the emotions and the stresses and strains, but the highs and the lows. That is literally someone's entire lifetime has been condensed into like a 6-year period, more or less.
And then, all that happened was 2018. Craig Fitzpatrick gave me a run out on a Superbike, and all I had to pay for was my tyres, which at the time was obviously a good deal because Superbikes aren't cheap. But
what bike was it? That was a ZX10, wasn't it?
No, R1.
No, R1.
It was an R1.
I remember you being it. Was it? Did you go for Califat? Did we go to something like that?
Something like that.
You was there.
Yeah.
Done some laps.
So I'd never rode a Superbike, never rode a big bike. Just got chucked in at the deep end, and I wasn't particularly very fast. I had a few good qualifyings, one at Alton Park.
Your team wasn't a full obviously. I don't think Craig had run a Superbike before.
No, and
or for someone else anyway. He'd done his own.
To Craig, he can put a bike out, but I think obviously he'd never run a Superbike.
Sorry, I wasn't. wasn't downplaying Craig then. What I meant was it's a very big step for anyone, is what I mean.
Yeah.
So I'm sure he did a mint job. I just mean
for
it's
sure.
hard.
Yeah, for someone that's never rode one as well. I'd never rode one, and I mean at the time, probably the R1 had been going since when 2014, something like that, and I couldn't ride it. But I believe I was riding okay, but nothing was working. I didn't really have the same setup as everyone else, so we didn't have any data to work on, and that I was done. We as a family that we was done after Snetterton. We put the bags in the van, and I was done racing.
So you quit
at 20 years old. I'd quit racing. Yeah.
What did 20-year-old Kyle Ryde do after that then?
Golf?
No. But you know what I mean.
I drank a fair bit of beer.
Yeah, no. But like being a 20-year-old kid, you do, don't you?
I just want.
Were you happy with that decision? You were like,
at the time, I was getting older, and I could see how much it was affecting them, and that's what did my head in the most. If you know what I mean.
Your parents,
I was like, if they're spending all this money, I'm finishing in these places, and if I hurt myself, I'm like, what's it for? If you know what I mean. And we couldn't. They sat me down as well. They said, "Look, we can't afford. We spent
to keep going.
Yeah, we've done these amount of meetings, and we've spent 24 grand on tyres, and we've not actually got anything to shout about it really. So we stopped racing. I don't know what I did.
Were you happy, relieved, upset? I'm sorry, but throwing it in.
Yeah, I was relieved that it was done.
Right.
At the time, I knew I was always going to probably go back and ride a motorbike at some point, but at the time, it was just nice to hang about with my mates and be a normal person and not be so down in the dumps all the time. And it took a month or two, and then we decided, me and Dad, all my sponsors, obviously I'll credit them as well, they've always backed me, even though if I had a few dips, like what Christian said, and it's annoying because all the dips, I believe, aren't my fault. It's all the other people's fault, and I've had to go on this roller coaster and work my way back up. And
but your confidence must have been getting hammered at that point, even though you know it's someone else's. It's almost, if you have the mindset of going, that's someone else's fault.
Yeah,
you can almost carry on your self confidence.
Yeah,
but were you getting I
was getting battered, the whole time. But at the end of 2016, there was a team, an R6 team in World Supersport. I can't remember the name, but Cluzel was one of the riders. It was like an Indian flag. It was green, white.
Mahi.
Yeah.
What the R6s back then?
R6, yeah.
Because they did run a
It was going to be Cluzel and me.
Yeah, I remember it.
For 2017.
Right.
It got spoke about for ages. It was us two. And then last minute, someone, I think Dorna, paid that team like 250 grand to have this rider in because there wasn't any
that nationality.
Jeez. Yeah. So
that was it.
Talk me through the time gap again there. 20-year-old, you've packed in, you're going off but then what was the time gap between that?
Not a lot. A few months, maybe 1 or 2 months.
Oh, so you were normal for a month?
I was normal for a month. Probably put on about a stone, drank some beer, and
I had a condensed month.
Liver's there going, please, can we go back racing?
Yeah, exactly.
And at the time, that was the first year. I think it was the first year that BSB put a Moto2 bike within Supersport.
The GP2.
2018 was, I think.
Right.
And not one of them had ever come first, second, or third in an actual race. And me and Dad, we rented a Moto2 bike off someone. I can't remember who it was now. Phil Styles, I think.
That was a Calyx, wasn't it?
It was a Calyx. I think we paid 1,100 quid to rent it for the weekend, and I won both races. And that was it.
Overall races?
Overall.
Where was that?
Brands Hatch.
Yeah, stock. That was Honda engines, wasn't it?
I think one of them was against Jack Kennedy.
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh.
And then you did the full series the year after?
Yeah, then we did a few more meetings, and then I did the full series with Ryan Saxelby on a proper one. I won that championship, and that was a brilliant year, actually. I loved racing with Jack, and I think Brad Jones was the other one. He come second. Us three racing all year. It was good fun because obviously my bike was really, really good at some places or some corners, and theirs was better at others, being mine was obviously a proper racing bike. But
so you're now 3 championships deep, as in winning.
Yeah, I won 3 British championships at that point.
Normal for a month.
Yeah,
and it's
beer for a month, and then come back, did a few races, got the love for it again. Got the chance, obviously, with Ryan to ride in British Supersport again. Enjoyed that season, and out of nowhere, Steve Ickin gave me a Superstock ride at Donington Park as a wild card. Superstock.
Right.
I only did one race. I didn't even do the race because I broke my wrist.
You had a massive crash into Redgate, didn't you?
Yeah, with Ben Godfrey. We had a big crash together. I think he fractured his leg and I broke my wrist. But I did all right up until that point. I did 2 practices, and me and Coots were first and second in one of the practices. I think Taylor Mackenzie was fastest in the other one.
Is this in the year that you'd won the GP2s?
Yes.
So 19?
I'd already won the championship.
So you were able to go
I was going to do the last 2 meetings on Steve's Superstock bike,
right.
Donington and Brands, but I broke my wrist after a day. But he seen that I could ride it pretty good, so he offered me a Superbike ride for the next season.
And then you turned up at Donington and you won both races.
Silverstone.
Was it Silverstone?
Yeah.
So it was, that was, I guess that was the first time.
It was a COVID year, wasn't it?
I think that was the first time that the British paddock in BSB probably saw what Kyle's capable of. I mean, obviously he's won 3 championships by now, but I can remember that weekend. You went 2-1-1, didn't you, on the weekend?
Second, first, yeah.
Yeah. Which is pretty impressive. And I'm going to say this from my perspective, because I was doing quite good that year. And it's not out of nowhere, because nothing's out of nowhere. Everyone knows how good you are. Even 5 years ago, whatever it was. Your results up until that point, I think you had a really good first race, actually, of the year. I can't remember exactly where you finished. You'd done good at Donington, I remember that. But then the Silverstone, it was just like a light switch.
Yeah, everything clicked as well.
Yeah.
And it
was like you could do it with absolute ease.
Yeah, I could. It was you shouldn't say it, but there's weekends that it's easy to ride a motorbike. It's never easy to win a superbike race, but still to this day, even I'm a lot fitter now than what I was back then. And still to this day, that was the easiest race I've ever won, those 2 on Sunday. My bike was so good.
Have you ever felt as in tune, because bearing in mind how good of a season you just had, have you ever felt as in tune at any point in your career, or was that the day that was the best? Have you felt that's good since?
Some races this year is the best, like Cadwell Park, that last race, that was probably the most I've ever been in tune. I led every lap from the start with Tommy right behind me.
Yeah.
But Silverstone was special. I was riding the bike very good, but the bike was also very good because I think a few times did Josh Elliott win a race there on a Suzuki.
Yeah, the first year with OMG.
First year he gave Alan his first win, didn't he?
Yeah, so the bike itself is very good round Silverstone, but it was one of the tracks that I was good at as well, so blended it together. Yeah, it felt like a video game because I followed Brooks around for 27 laps and it did not break a sweat. It was so easy. And then I passed him and I pulled 2 seconds in 3 laps and the track was only, 52 seconds?
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. Started the last lap, Dad was like plus 2.1 seconds and I'd only done 2 laps. Set the fastest lap on 28 and 29. I was like, but you ask him, that does not happen.
Nah, it does not.
It doesn't happen.
Once a blue, honestly...
I've been trying for 10 years to have a day like that.
You have to work so hard to win any race. Yeah.
No, but see what you and Brad's story's quite.
Well, he keep coming together, don't they?
They overlap, and I'm trying to remember because I remember that's when I was starting to take a real interest in watching BSB, because Brad rode the Hawk bikes as well.
Yeah,
was it Hawk then?
Just before me, yeah.
Well, it's always
It was
Hawk.
build base.
Build
no,
base,
it's Hawk.
yeah,
But
always
anyway,
Hawk Racing.
They always change the name.
I think Brad was 18 and 19, wasn't he? Mm-hmm. And then he went to Taz on 20.
So that was before. So Brad was after you. Is that right? Sorry.
So Brad was before me at Suzuki.
Yeah. And then you see, then it almost like beginning of the year was shit hot for the pair of you, and then it just seemed to plateau because you both you did the. Did he do the same at Silverstone? Not as obviously as good as that, but he did the same.
He did something at Donington the year before.
Donington, and then you won at Donington as well, didn't you?
Yeah.
And it was just like.
But then your paths really came together. So you finished that year with Steve at Hawk.
Yeah.
Never quite replicated. Well, you didn't replicate what you did at Silverstone, but
no, I feel like I could have done though.
Right.
100%. There was a few.
I remember Snetterton had a mid one, and
I was unbelievable there. That was the same. I was second, and then the safety car come out, my bike cut out, and I was gutted because I was in the same zone. Mm-hmm. All I was doing that year was trying to replicate one race from Silverstone, so everyone didn't think that it was a flash in the pan. Yeah. Because I felt like I was fast everywhere. Donington, The bike was getting too hot, so we took the rad guard off, and the first lap, Andy Irwin flicked a stone up, and I had to pull in. That'd have been a podium.
Always Andy Irwin.
And Snetterton had some good speed too. Put it this way, at Snetterton.
Well, I remember your last lap or something.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. This year's the only year that was faster than my Suzuki lap time. The time I won this trophy. Yeah, and I just beat it and all a tenth faster.
From lap 20?
From lap, yeah.
I remember looking. I'm a big TSL fan. Like looking through the timesheets, I remember looking at it. 'Cause I think it had cut out at the end of the back straight, and you'd gone across the grass.
Yeah, and then I
remember it like it was yesterday.
I was like 15.
And then obviously I didn't have to worry about Kyle because he was
on the grass,
gone. But obviously got back going again because it must have been an intermittent fault.
Yeah.
And then I looked through the sheets and I'm like, whew, I'm glad he had a problem.
Aye.
Like
sent me fastest last lap, like 47.9 at Snet, which is pretty good. And
that must be frustrating. That process of going, trying to replicate that and even in your own words, fitter, faster.
Yeah.
On a stronger bike and everything. And
it's a brilliant bike. I mean, you had a go on it as well, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
At a few tracks, it was brilliant, and I think it was more so. Obviously, I had one go on it. EA probably had one go on it, and I feel like if you had a few more goes on it, same as the Yamaha, even though it's good now at every track, I wasn't good at every track, and it took me 3 years to get good at every track. So, and I feel the Suzuki was really good at a few tracks, but maybe it was me or him that wasn't so good at those tracks on that bike, and you needed a few more goes at it.
It was a good bike.
I believe that bike was as good as what I'm riding now, to be honest.
I feel kind of similar. When I jumped off it, it was a difficult decision and stuff, but you're like, one, it was moving on, so there wasn't the option anyway, but like, if the year that I didn't stay with Hawk, I think if they'd have continued with the Suzuki, I would have carried on.
Yeah.
Because it was not the favoured bike, but having ridden it, I know I didn't extract the most from it, for sure, which I guess is what you kind of feel at a lot of the other tracks. I know you did it 2 or 3. Some of it was took out your hands results-wise, but yeah, I totally get what you're saying. It was
good bike.
It was a good bike. And it was a nice bike to ride, sort of gave you good feedback. It didn't feel like you were always overriding. I know you should always push to your max, but there's bikes that you ride where you push to your max and you feel like you're going to end in hospital every single corner. And there's other bikes that you ride to your max and you still feel like you're kind of the master of it. And it was one of them sort of bikes.
Yeah. But I mean, as a 20-year-old that's never rode a Superbike, to then take me until this year to go faster than my Snetterton time says how good it was.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
But because what happened after the Hawk days and where did you go after that?
I've been with Alan since then.
It was literally Hawk to Alan straight
that was
at
the start of OMG.
We had BMW.
Kyle and OMG. Sorry.
We had BMWs, me and Brad Ray.
Now, I'll just say this, mind. They were the best looking bikes on the grid. Just the black and the gold.
Didn't feel like it when you were sat on it.
Oh, how really?
So I was going to say, so now...
Looks beautiful, but shite.
That was a tough year.
Oh, yeah. That was tough. But at that point, I knew at some point it was going to get better because I rode a Suzuki the year before, and I mean at the time because I'd only been riding a Superbike for a year, you just wanted a few good weekends that gets you a job for next year, and then you try and have 4 or 5 good weekends.
So I remember us being on the podium together. That it was 21 then, wasn't it?
21 in the wet.
In the wet at Donington.
Yeah, at Donington. And that was obviously the highlight of my.
Say career, cheer him up. Go on, say career. Go on, just cheer him up. Go on, just say your career.
I think that was
we've shared a lot more podiums.
But I think that was the first time we shared a podium.
Yeah, it was.
It was mega because we were good mates by that point. It was good.
But I couldn't ride that bike. I'm too. I kind of feel too much sometimes. It's my own enemy, and if I feel something's not right, instead of riding through it, it normally makes me a bit slower. But I mean, when we come to the last couple of meetings anyway, we knew that we was going to Yamaha, so it was almost like we couldn't wait to get off it and get to Spain, because obviously we're very lucky as a team that Alan goes to a racetrack after BSB. We always go to Cartagena, and he had a Superbike there for me and Brad, and whatever the lap record was, Brad smashed it by about a full second, so it was such a difference compared to the BMW. Obviously that bike's a lot better now, but at the time I wasn't capable of...
Did you feel that difference straight away?
I did, yeah. Straight away. But same thing. I still went to a lot of tracks in 2022 and I was fast, and then some I was pretty pants at. But it was just experience, because I felt like I was always as quick as what Taz McKenzie was. And then a few race tracks I kept up with him or just beat him, but majority he absolutely smoked me by about 15 seconds, and that was mainly because he's been on it for 3 years at the time.
And do you think that's where now you've built through? Because so you're now 3 years deep on the 3?
Yeah,
three on the AM.
Three on the AM, yeah.
And the other 2 years were pretty flipping good. So you went 6th in the championship, then
6th, third, first.
Yeah. So, but do you think the big difference is that time that you've had on it, or like what's?
Yeah, for sure, experience. I'm just being consistent, really.
Yeah.
It's as I've got older, I've just realised in BSB you can't be having those like flash in the pan. You've got to just be steady all the time, and yeah, it was. The last half of the year, obviously, was what got me to where I am now.
I was going to say, so you've had 2 good years. You've built every year.
Yeah.
You've come into this year, and we all know the outcome.
Yeah.
Amazing final race and taking the title. The start of the year wasn't
amazing,
incredible.
Yeah.
So, and you did build all the way through, but not from an outsider, because I've raced against you, but from being on track with you, but also looking through the times and everything like that, it seemed like Cadwell onwards was a massive turning point, or maybe the round before, which was Alton.
Yeah.
But from the last 12 races, I think you did 10 podiums.
Yeah, and won 8,
seven wins, yeah. 7 or 8 wins, which you came good at the right time.
Yeah, I did.
Because obviously the points ramp up. But is there something that you attribute that to, or did something change? Or
yeah, massively. So there's two halves to the year for sure. So this is not anyone's fault. It's just sometimes I feel at BSB we don't get the right information about things. So I'll start off with the first thing, which is in her ref, that's obviously just gone on. Before I'd even put my leathers on, a Pirelli guy come round with a sheet and he told me every single tyre and what it was and what compound it was and what it does, blah, 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 blah. And the SC1 front and the SC2 front are the same. They're the same structure, but the rubber's a bit different. I think that was the thing. And that's the same as what we've got in BSB, but I didn't have a clue. So when I rode for Steve on the Suzuki, I always ran an SC2 front because the one was a completely different compound and I didn't like the feeling. Since then, it's changed. I didn't know. So last year, I always ran an SC2 front. I come third in the championship. I couldn't use an SC1 front because it squished too much, didn't like it. But for this year, it's changed and the SC1 is the same structure as the SC2. It's just got softer rubber. And since Brands Hatch this year, I've run an SC1 all for the rest of the season, and that's why I've done so well, I think. So
there's me thinking about like the psychological element, you know, what's changed back at home, anything, just
a front tyre, that's it.
What made you, so obviously you've only learnt that from Jerez just, and pretty much I'm listening to that and I think I was kind of privy to some of it, but not the full exact structures. I thought it was a different way around actually, but yeah.
It probably is.
But what made you? No, you'll have it right. But what, having not known that information, what made you think? Because we always laugh that you've always been an SC2 guy. Like when I look at the sheets or when they put it up on the TV, it'll be like everyone will be soft, and it'll be K Ryde H
hard,
for hard in the front. He's like the only one that's always same when we go to Donington at flipping 3 degrees track temperature and this numpty's got a flipping hard front tyre in and we all don't dare go out because it's going to tuck the front at Craner. So what made you actually decide to put the one in after years, literally years of running the hard?
Yeah, it was obviously I've had a really fast teammate all year and we've always been about the same speed. And when we got to Brands, obviously we know he rode really well. We won all 3 races. He was on.
That was a hell of a display. That was
hell of a weekend.
It was impressive.
It was impressive.
Very impressive.
But I've rode around Brands Hatch since I was 13, and I believe I can pedal a bike around there. I might not be amazing around there, but I can ride a bike around Brands Hatch.
Yeah.
And Ryan, on average, was between 6 and 7 tenths a lap faster than me, and I wasn't ill. There's no issues with me. I was riding good and I couldn't understand what was going on.
But no, but at least that's not, you know, you got to be honest.
I must be sick if he's that far.
Yeah, I know he was riding good, but not that good. So for Sunday, we stuck an SC1 front in. bear in mind, I still believed that it was a completely different tyre, and my crew chief did. No one knew about this. Someone knew, but I didn't, and my team didn't. We always believed that it was still an SC1 and an SC2, and they're both different, but they was very similar this year. And I put it in for Brands on the Sunday, and I come third twice, and my pace was 3 or 4 tenths faster than what it was all weekend, so we made a big step there. And then went to Thruxton, and we decided to keep it in, and I won the first race, and I've never been any good at Thruxton because I've always ran the 2, I think, and since Thruxton really, I've been really fast, consistent.
Like throughout all like the BSB commentary and obviously everything on the telly, it's been like a bit of a bogey track, and then you go to Cadwell, you haven't won yet, it must be a bogey track, and then you win, and then it just, that momentum continued. It's like from the outside looking in, it was like, for me, the bigger trigger change was Brand's final last year, because leading up to that, it was, in your own words, them flashes of brilliance. Yeah, you'd be like, "Fuck!" It was almost like, "Bang! I can ride a bike," and then you would drop
6th or 7th.
You drop back from what you did prior, and then you'd almost get in this yet again. As a spectator alone, it was almost like a confidence lull. It was just like, "Fuck! You can ride a bike, but what the hell's happening to him?" Yeah, and then he would go, then straight back down. But then from Brands last year,
it's been a lot better. Yeah,
and then just. Like you see, you've almost, like, yet again, outside looking in, you've done your season backwards. Yeah. Like, the beginning was quite, normally, you're like, bang, and then tail. You've actually, like...
It was nice to finish the way I did. I believe I could have done that at the start as well, if I'd had the SC1 front. Especially, Christian knows because he was there. At Navarra, I had an edge on even Danny and Ryan all weekend, 2-3 temps in my back pocket. And the sun come out on Sunday, and I had the 2 front in, and I was useless. I lost 6-7 temps a lap. And I believe if I went now on the SC1 front, I might not have won by the gap I had, but I'd have been able to race them. The Yamaha had such an advantage there. It was crazy, really, because, I mean, these lot was obviously racing as fast as what they can, and I was struggling bad. I come third, I think I come second and third. And I come in and I was like, that bike's awful. But then you see these, and
I would have loved to have been anywhere near his awful bike.
That's what I mean. But from every time we went out in the morning, like 9 o'clock when the track temp was cold, my bike was amazing.
It changed so much because from even I lost on my bike a lot.
Yeah, with it going up in temperature.
Kyle had such an advantage; it was ridiculous in the testing.
Yeah,
because I remember when they just bought Navarra, and then they went. It was the test, wasn't it? You were under the lap record. Like, was it who held that lap record in World Superbikes?
It wasn't that fast. It was close to the race lap record.
We're
not qualifying.
It was close.
2 temps,
for a test.
Yeah,
and then you made a change to Bitubo as well.
Yeah,
like there's a question for how much say do you have over that? Because you and Kyle were teammates. That was sorry.
It was me and Ryan.
That was Ryan's first year. Then he had an injury, didn't he? But by the by, do you know if you turned up? They've put Bitubo in.
Well, it was due to me.
Right.
Well, we had it.
Answers the question.
The difference for me was...
Did you just wake up one day and said, I want Bitubo?
No, I tried it. Well, we had back-to-back stuff.
No, I know, but I know you said it was down to you, but did the team come to you and go, do you want to try it? Or did you say, I would like to try it?
Like,
how did the conversation
I think it started off that they've got an opportunity to use it. Do you want to try it? And I said, yeah, I've rode it before. It's good stuff. Mm-hmm. And the difference is one, obviously, we probably, if we had a set of Öhlins forks there, we had 3 sets of Bitubo forks there. So that's how it kind of happened. And yeah, I tried a few of those different forks, and I ride on the front a lot, and I had great feeling with it. And we obviously had a lot of backing as well from Bitubo, and yeah, I've never looked back. I've never once thought I could do with a set of Öhlins backing. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying that they can't do what they can, but I think the package is one, and the technicians we've got and the effort that Batubo's put in, they deserve that as much as me, because they've put a lot of time and effort in as well. Obviously, flying people over from Italy and supplying.
What's the Italian like?
Yeah, he's brilliant.
Like his Spanish. No, what's his Italian?
Oh, what's my Italian? Yeah. I thought you meant the Italian that's with me.
There'll be shit out there from Italy.
No, he's a good bloke. Speaks very good English, so we've got along good.
No, it's just interesting when you speak to like your K-Tech, wasn't it, this year?
Yeah.
And have you gone through the lot of them?
I've never had Bitubo.
Curious?
No, actually, I tell a lie. I did try Bitubo, and the support we got was insane, and I wanted to run it, but the decision wasn't mine, so it didn't carry on. But yeah, I think now the main 3 brands, as well, we don't get to run White Power, but so the 3 of the main 4 brands. I think the kit is pretty similar. Yeah. I think there's a lot. Some of it's on rider feel because they give different feeling, so it does make a difference on rider feel. But I think the main difference that I would say is the support you get is very important. So I think all the teams are more or less make their decision based on what support can they get, because it makes a big difference. You could have something say this is the best suspension in the world, but if you haven't got someone there to try and help you make it be the best it can be, then it's scrap anyway. So
yeah, regardless of how much, like he said, it's all the same kind of inside. And if one costs that much, one costs that much. It doesn't matter what it costs. If you've got all the support there to help you, that's worth more than what the most expensive brand is, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's all about the people you're talking to when you come back, and they understand you. And I've had, obviously, Ryan's always ran SC1 front, so he runs a real stiff fork leg tube because you don't really need the feeling. You just trust that the tyre's going to stick to the floor. And when I have a SC2 front, my outer tubes are like chocolate, so I can feel the tyre more. So the tubes are flexing while I'm on the brake, and I can feel the tyre. And then as soon as I put the SC1 front in, I had to put Ryan's tubes in because I was feeling way too much. So my forks was flexing, and I could feel the tyre, and I wasn't going very fast. As soon as we stiffened up the forks, like the tubes, night and day.
And then, like, because was that last year or this year, the Navara test? Last year. I'm trying to make your fit.
The test on its own was year before.
That's right. Yeah. So you've had 2 years on Bitubo, you're building this momentum and everything, and it's
and we still come to the last round, and you're basically mano a mano coming to brands.
Oh, but like, I want to talk briefly, but like, you were points ahead. At what point were you points ahead? When did the championship change for you?
I was ahead before I got there. Oh.
Yeah, when...
Yeah, so Alton changed.
Alton changed. Well, that's TSL here.
No, remember. First race at Alton, I went in front.
Alton Park, race 3, must have been a massive turning point for you. Well, sorry, race 1's a big turning point because Bradwell took the front at the chicane. Big change.
Yeah.
But race 3, we started off in mixed conditions. No, wet, more or less wet-ish.
Yeah.
And, go on, talk through it.
Yeah, it was I was a bit annoyed that it got stopped because I was on. I know you was on.
I was on full slicks.
Yeah, he was crazy.
Yeah, he got that's Christy.
Dry line can be like your finger, and he's going out on slicks.
Dry line is a dry line.
Yeah, but I'm the same. But I went with Inters. I got some eating them, and it was raining, but I was still going fast. And then it got red flagged, and it did rain a fair bit, enough to make a lot of people worried. And even my team was like full wets for this, and I'm looking up, I'm like, it's not raining, we've got at least 5 more minutes here, we've got a sighting lap, I just said, right, just stick the hard wet in, and they're like thinking I'm stupid basically. But
for those of you listening, by the way, the difference, most tyres, your layman would struggle to feel the difference, but the difference between a hard wet and a soft wet is literally night and day.
Yeah. So, yeah, I just chose the hard wet. I nearly chose Inters, but I think that would have been stupid in the rear. I think you'd have still got round.
Because
I wished I'd gone back out on slicks, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah.
Oh, no one's taking your opinion into this. You are slicks, aren't you? You know what I mean? Let's talk.
That's what ruined me.
Yeah.
No, but
I was gutted.
Where were you before the red flag? You were getting heated. Where were you position-wise? You were like...
back.
You were, weren't you?
You were going fast, but you think you were like 17th at the time, weren't you?
No.
Oh, we're not going to move further forward.
No. It was...
You weren't near the front.
I was not near the front, no. I'm sure I was like 7th, but Bridewell was like 5th, and I could see him in the distance because he was on slicks.
That's right, yeah.
So not only did I think...
No, to be fair, sorry, yeah, because you'd passed me before the flag came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you build momentum, but then the flag came out, you put the hard rear in.
Everyone went wets,
yes,
but I went for a hard wet. And after It was a bit so like Silverstone. After a lap, I thought, I've absolutely smoked this.
You just knew.
I just knew. I knew. You could tell who in front of me was on a soft wet. And I was like, I've absolutely smoked this. So I didn't even panic of when to pass people. I just let it come to me. And then I just rode round for 3 laps and I got a 7-second lead.
That's because I remember watching that race because before the red flag, it was Ryan went off and then he crashed within...
Yeah, went to the last corner.
In the last corner, wasn't it? And then Storm took the lead, didn't he?
Yeah, and then he had 10 seconds, then it got red flagged.
And then got red flagged, didn't it? And then it just went from there and then you won that race and then that was... So what points did that give you at that point? How many times can I say a point in one?
Well, the wet race on Sunday, I come 13th, and I think did Brybo win it or come second?
Now you're testing the memory.
Don't know, but it was a big term.
It was on the podium. I went from championship lead to like 6 points behind.
Yeah,
and then it was like 1 behind or 3 in front when I won the last race.
But like from the outside, like you went from the first wet race was a big struggle on the Sunday.
Yeah,
and then. It wasn't a wet race, but it was a wet race for race 2 on Sunday, and you won it. Yeah, that's a massive turning point.
Yeah,
but like
made him feel good. Yeah,
yeah, but like at this point, when points are flexed back and forth, where was your head at? Were you still thinking, did you have utter belief in yourself that you were going to win this?
I mean, I just wanted to, at the time, at Owen Park, I just wanted to get a bit closer. If that was a point, it was a bonus for me because I knew that...
Your weekend goal, you mean?
Weekend goal was to get a bit closer. Not smash it, not get in the championship lead. Just want to get a bit closer. Let him know that I'm not panicking. Do you know what I mean? I knew Donington was coming up and then I knew my bike was going to be good at Brands because it was good on the Sunday there before. And yeah, I was really lucky that race happened, the hard wet situation, because part of the track was wet and my bike felt loads better with a hard wet in than what it did with the soft wet in earlier on. I just think because I've been struggling in the wet recently, we've gone OTT with it and a bit too soft. And then before I'm even picking the throttle up really, my shock's where it would be at 50% throttle and I was getting no feeling, and when I did get a moment, it was a big one because there was too much weight on the tyre. So then when we put the hard wet in for that last race, on all the stuff that was wet, the bike felt loads better. So then when we come to Brands, when it pissed it down basically, I didn't use a hard wet, but we basically ran a dry setting with a soft tyre and I come fourth. Yeah,
so again, I'd messaged him, a typical flipping quip that I'm going to give him. But I was like, you can ride in the wet when you want to.
But
you just never wanted to before. No. Like
it's such a feeling thing. It took a bit of getting used to because in my head I thought I've got a dry setting here, but it just worked. And obviously at Brands it was, in my opinion, the best decision because when you go down to Hawthorns, you don't even have to press the brakes and the forks go down to 100mm anyway. So if you was to have a real soft bike, I don't think I'd have got the same feeling.
Yeah,
it was either.
So what you learned at Alton?
What I learned at Alton got me 4th place at Brands, and I completely forgot about Tommy where he was.
Yeah,
I knew I was riding better in the wet, and I actually really enjoyed that race. And when I passed those 2 at the end, it was just a big bonus, really.
Yeah,
and obviously it helped me out on Sunday.
Yeah. So coming into title decider day.
Yeah.
Did you sleep the night before or
I slept.
Yeah. Well, that's the big question.
That probably one of my best weekends for sleeping ever, and I don't understand how. I mean, red wine helped a little bit. That's my if I get a bit too between about 9:30 and 11 o'clock, if I get too involved with TSL, I just get a glass of wine, forget about that, go to sleep, and then just make sure I had some good breakfast. I was confident in the drive really. I wasn't amazingly fast, but I was fast enough to know that I was going to be fighting with Tommy and I wasn't worried about him smoking me really. And then obviously it was crazy, wasn't it? The first race on Sunday, I was so down in the dumps after because I felt like I'd lost because it would have been so easy. It was that much faster than everyone else at the time that if I'd have beat him on the first race on Sunday, I'd have just followed him home and it'd have been easy. But looking back at it now, I'm glad I won it in the way I did.
Oh mate, the fact a part of you thinks everyone likes watching a wet race because anything can happen. You know what I mean? It's it's more daring. Do we dare see it? But the fact that it came to a dry race, and
the fact it was man to man because they had such a gap. Everything about it was full blown hill hopper. It was insane, and I wasn't I got hurt at Donington. I wasn't racing, and you always want to be racing, right? But honestly, I sat in the Motorpedo garage with me foot up watching the racing, and the grandstand or the full banking opposite. I had my screen on watching these two go at it, and the atmosphere
was electric.
I wasn't glad I wasn't in the race, but I was almost glad that I got to experience something like that. I don't want to be in that situation again, but it was absolutely insane. So, one, did you feel any of that? And two, when you were racing, did you race freely, as in, did you just race your bike, or like what was going through your head? Like,
the first race on Sunday was got to beat him.
Yeah.
And I rode really good.
Yeah.
I passed him many times. He passed me back at Stirling's many times. And then, fair play to him, he did 2:24.9s.
Yeah, that was impressive.
On the last 2 laps, and I literally couldn't get close enough to pass him. I wouldn't say I had any issues with my bike, but there was just a few corners I didn't have a great feeling, and that's where he was really fast. So the gap, it was like a yo-yo effect, and I never got a chance to pass him. So me being me, I took my hat off to him, I congratulated him, and I said that was pretty impressive. Like 2:24.9s at any point of a BSB race is fast. So that was that, and then I knew I had to win. So the pressure was, I didn't really feel any pressure for the last race. I just knew I had to win. There was no can't finish third, can't finish second. I have to win. If Tommy's going to finish the race, I've got to win the race, or I'm not winning the championship.
You could not have been that cocky. Like,
no,
were you that cocky?
I was chilled out. Yeah, Everyone said to me on the grid, like, you've got to be the most chilled out person I've seen. But I just tried to be normal. It's worked for the last few months, so I just carried on.
How do you tell yourself that? Like, tell me your secrets.
I don't know. Just did the same thing. They said, look, you don't need to go and do the rider signing if you don't want to. I'm like, well, then I'm just going to sit and think about race 3. I'll go and do it. And then before I knew it, I was like, I've got to get changed. I'm out in 25 minutes. And I got changed. I went down, gave everyone a hug and said, look, I've had a great season, whatever happens. And then I got on my bike and I smoked them.
No, but like, I think like when I saw you, God, Bennett, that OMG party, they give you holiday measures of vodka.
Yeah.
I can't. And I saw you, and I was trying not to breathe on you, and I remember saying, and I'm going to say it now, that race has superseded the Hopkins Hill Battle.
Close in my eyes. Yeah.
No, but.
I think they're different. I think they've got different.
Oh no, they've got different attitudes. But now I'm going to say something as a fan. I thought that could never ever be.
Oh, 100%.
No, you know, the Hill Hopkins.
Yeah.
I thought no one will ever put a patch on that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
At least it got close, yeah.
Like, no one will get that close. Obviously, last year there was a points element with Glenn and Tommy, but the race, the actual battle for it.
Yeah.
That was
again, watching from the outside, what was incredible was how, for the pair of them, you've got to give enormous kudos that it was as clean as it was.
Oh,
Given the pace they were doing,
what like
it was mint.
Yeah, down the bottom straight was a bit. I shook my head as well. If you watch it back, I go into Surtees and I shake my head, and I was a bit annoyed. But he knew he went in deep into Grey Mill Bend, so he tried to cover it off, but he didn't realise how much of an exit I'd got, and I was there instantly.
That was with 2 laps to go.
Yeah, 2 laps to go. I think he thought that I was going to kind of get the run on him into Surtees.
But you was already there.
I was already there. I got a brilliant exit, and I had to back out of it. We didn't touch. Actually, it looks like we touched, but we didn't touch.
Really?
Yeah, we didn't touch.
You were off the bike.
Yeah, I was like that, trying to stop the contact. But yeah, that was the only time it got close between me and him.
I mean, it's just credit to the both of you.
It's unreal. I tell you what, I must give credit to, mind, and this is a bit of a random one, but like Javier, you know, at the beginning of the year, and I was one of the first people to say this, he almost took too much on. From the outside looking in, running Dean Harrison, Jack Kennedy, Andy Irwin, and like there was like 5 riders in that team, and I think to run that close, so nearly winning another championship.
Yeah.
And congratulations to Jack Kennedy for winning another super sport.
Yeah.
But what a battle! Like,
a lot of people wrote him off for sure. I never wrote him off as a rider. I knew he'd be good at most, especially consistent. Tommy's always been consistent, so.
Yeah.
But even myself in testing, I don't know how many engines they broke, but there was a fair.
Yeah, Navarra was crazy.
It was a fair few how many they broke between them both. So you'd expect, even if they did fix it, at some point they were going to blow another. But I don't think they did in a race scenario at any point. They might have done in practices.
I think he had one technical at Navarra.
Yeah,
was the only, as in race technical.
Yeah, but apart from that, they obviously did a great job to fix what was ever happening with the engines. And yeah, I never doubted Tommy being there all the time. It was just with all the mechanicals he had throughout testing, I thought that was going to rule him out after about 5 or 6 months, but it obviously didn't. They sorted it out as a team, and like you said, that's off to them. I think it would have been a cool story, wouldn't it, really, to jump off one bike and win it on another.
Well, he would have been the first person in BSB history
to do it.
Nobody's done it.
Shut up, man.
No. Honest. That's a full-blown fact.
Full-blown fact.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
That's
impressive. That when you think about like
at one point, I thought Shaky did it, but he didn't.
No, he didn't. No.
So took that one away from him.
So, sorry, go.
I was going to say, has it sunk in yet?
Yeah.
Kind of. It's the Spain thing that's put me on a bit of a downer, really. But
regrets doing it, or
no. It was. I was always going to do it regardless. I just wish things had have worked out a bit better, like we said earlier. But yeah, getting home was nice. Seeing that, been down.
Cheered you up a little bit.
Yeah, cheered me up a bit. And
3 foot of whatever it's made out of.
And I've been down the calf, been in the pub. Everyone's been so nice, and
Who filmed that video, by the way? That it went nearly viral, better than watching the football final. Was that pub down the road. Yeah. It was insane.
You not seen it?
I have, yeah. But that's what I meant before about being all the locals being right behind you.
So here's a question. Going into I'm not even sure if it was the final round, but securing another year with OMG and Alan and Paul and the whole team.
Yeah.
Did that take pressure off? You see, I feel like these are just total wasted questions on you because you're just so chilled out.
Yeah,
but does that take pressure off you?
Last year, yeah. In my eyes, it helped. I wanted to get it done. This year, it's hard to explain. I felt like I'd not done enough, but it'll tell you. You ride your bikes for 6 months, and you know if you're going to get a ride or not.
Yeah,
it's
a sport, isn't it?
You know you've done enough, regardless if you've had a bad patch or a dip. You know when you've done enough, and obviously at that point we probably had a few more offers. If you get offers in like September, if you start getting them in July and August, you're doing something right. So you know you're going to be kind of safe. But I wanted to ride Alan's bike again. I feel like I'd be silly not to, really. Obviously, it'd be nice to run a number one on the same bike.
That was one of my questions.
Yeah.
Are you going to run the one?
Yeah, I've got to run the number one.
Nice.
If I ever get to a point in my career and I said, why didn't I run number one? It's not worth it, is it?
Because you've always moved on before anyway, so you've never...
Always moved on.
Never run the one.
And the last...
Right.
I think the last two people to have a number one on the bike didn't succeed, so I'm hoping I can be third time lucky.
I like it. So with Brad coming back as well, being close friends and like the experience now, do you think, because like you were saying in the earlier stories, the fact that you've gone away to Spain, you've gone away to be blunt, a higher championship, and you've come back to British and gone, woof, off you go.
Yeah. Does
Brad have that advantage?
Brad, I think, as not so much as a rider, but as a person and what he's, I don't know, he's obviously been battered black and blue for the last 2 years.
Yes, yeah.
And the kid can ride a bike very fast, and I've just sat in the grandstands and watched, and he's riding way better than 15th. Mm-hmm. So he'll be very fast next year for sure. But yeah, it's I've come a long way since Brad left, so I think it'll be good having us both riding well, and I think it'll be a great championship. Obviously, there'll be the last. What is it? So the last 3 champions will be in the same race together, me, Tommy, and Brad. So should make good fun.
And am I right in saying this? And I think he said it, and I hope I've got this right because I've been wrong many a time, as we all know on the show. But you sponsored Joe Talbot, is that right?
Yeah.
That's class. Like, where did that, and now he's part of the team as a third bike. Like, what inspired you to sponsor another rider?
He's
Like, you know what? He's
a nice kid for sure. That's number one. And him and his dad remind me a lot of when me and Dad was racing.
Yeah.
Do you know when I just started coming back, like 2019, 2020? Reminds me a bit like that. And obviously, I can see how fast he's going, whatever. And I just one day asked him, I was like, "Why have you not got anyone on your visor?" He said, "I just can't find anyone." So me and my sponsor chipped in together.
Taylor.
Yeah,
that's class.
And we both gave him a bit of money. But obviously now he's my teammate. He can do one.
That was going to be my next question.
I was wondering at what point it gets revoked.
That's and you can get. But
hey, I've done my job.
By the way, speaking of Scott Taylor, before the next questions on that side of things, like what Scott's wife had got their charity, haven't they? And it was her brother, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Who committed suicide, doesn't it? And like, talk a little bit about that lid, because that was like really special what you did there, mate.
Nice lid. We planned to do that quite a while ago, obviously being Donington, and at the time we was quite close to the championship lead, so it was always going to be a nice thing to do. And it worked out perfectly, really. We rode it, I used it on, I can't remember what day it was. I think it might have been Saturday, and I don't know if I won or come second. I think I might have won.
I think you won that one, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think I won, and then I was like, right, that's it. That can go in the box. That's won a race, and that's going for the charity. I think it's on the 23rd of November.
We'll try and put a link or a plug up, shall we, once?
Definitely.
There's a few. It was always the helmet, but I won 2 trophies that weekend, so I gave Victoria one of my winning trophies as well to make it obviously get a bit more money. So I'm hoping, someone digs deep and buys a nice helmet and a winning trophy from Donington.
Oh, class! I tell you,
it's class.
It like the charity work that this team do is fun. Like, they do the auction at the end of the year. And what I tell you what, I'm going to chuck him under the bus a little here. But my God, I was buckled at Ryan Vickers, because obviously he was selling one of his factory suits.
He just started it a bit high, didn't he? That was all. Did you hear about it?
I heard about it.
I was absolutely buckled, right? So anyway,
but fair play to Ryan for putting his levers on.
100%. You know what I mean? These Rutters levers were there, and the amount of like all the riders come in. There was boots. There was a bloke buying a lot of boots, whoever that was. Fair play, because a lot of money got chucked at the British Legion net. A lot. Yeah. And the best thing is, like, Alan's riders. Kyle. He's a bit like, you bought like the Ugly & Co. like signed.
I tried to.
You tried to.
So Glenn Owen's sponsor, if he's watching this, I was going back and forth with him, and someone gave me a whiff that Dad wanted it. My dad.
Right.
So I thought, well, if he wants it, then I'll get it him as a present, really.
Yeah.
And I was at like 1,500 quid, and I thought,
Sean, you're now gonna understand what you're worth.
That's it.
Was it 1,500? Was it 1,500 quid? And
Thanks for putting me through a life of racing and
1,500 quid
making me. But
I've got a cap.
But it went a bit too
Here's
high.
your sign, yeah. But I thought I was going to win it, and then this bloke at the front, he just kept putting his hand up, and I think we got to about 3,200 quid.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, it's only a sign. Anyway, if he's watching, he says if you win the championship tomorrow, you can have it for your dad.
Oh, brilliant!
And he never gave it me.
Right, now that he's watching, pay up. There you are, simple as that.
He owes me a sign. He shook my hand. So.
Oh, but like the money got raised. But I tell you what, I'm going to continue trucking them under the bus, because these. So Ryan goes up, and to be fair, they're custom made Iron Easy suits.
They're worth a lot more than what
they are worth a lot more. So anyway, standing up there, going, well, I'm going off next season and everything like that. Brought that records and these, blah blah blah. And he goes, so. Just starting the bid off at $2,000, and there wasn't a fucking whistle in the room, nothing. Everyone's looking at each other going, who's got $2,000 here? Like, no one.
Well, the last poor bloke spent $3,000 on a sign. He had no money left.
So at this point, it just started a bit high, and I tell you what, I was howling mine, because Ryan went, well, I'll buy him back for $2,000, and Alan Garner just stuck his head over the sign and went,
Deal.
So he
bought his own levers.
He bought his own levers back, and I was absolutely howling, because it's just like, Ryan, the good sport that he is, when it's for God's sake, the money's going in the pot, and it's like what Grace put it one of Chrissy's t-shirts up, and that went for 700. That shirt there went for 700 quid, and it had to go back into the show, and it's and Hammy, like one of yours, but like it's them them events are brilliant.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. But it's that's what this sport's all about.
So you're now into your 4th or 5th year with OMG?
Yep.
5th coming in. Is it
Coming
5th?
into my 5th.
I like how you just said yep.
Yep.
Yeah. What is it?
You're British Superbike champion, plus all the other ones you've got. What does the future hold, or what?
Nice.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years, or what does the future hold that you'd like? Because obviously it's not a given, is it?
I just...
Well, you're not wrong. Right?
I've been, like what you said earlier, I've been on a few dips on no fault of my own, really. Mm-hmm. And I would hate to see, while I'm riding really good, for one of those to happen again. So I don't think I'd take many risks unless it's a guaranteed 2-year spot on this bike in World Superbike. So I don't see where I'll be in 5 years. At the minute, I just want to race in BSB. Really enjoy it at the minute. I enjoy all my fans and family come in, and sometimes that means more to me than going to race abroad for something that might not work. So yeah, the last 2 years, especially as a family, it's been brilliant at home. And for me, it's that side of racing, because it's all at home as well. Racing a bike doesn't just happen Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's what happens at home as well, and how your family are and where everyone's happy. So the last 2 years have been mega, and all I've had to do really is ride my bike as fast as I can, and slowly but surely I've got faster, and I've ended up winning that. So I just want to keep riding where I am at the minute. So I don't see where I'm going to be in 5 years. I'm hoping I could maybe be a few more times British champion, but for now I'm happy, and it'd take a lot to swap me from doing what I'm doing. That's cool, because we've got this like sort of treadmill effect where people always, it's almost a desperation to move on and move up. So
yeah,
you're probably one of the first people I've ever heard that's like, I'm happy doing what I'm doing, and I'm not desperate to move up. You might ghost me on this one. Well, no, but there's been more than one rumour, of course, of OMG potentially moving on.
Yeah. I've never heard about that.
Oh, okay.
To World Superbike?
Yeah.
No.
Told you ghosted on that one.
Straight off the back there.
Ghosted. No, I've not heard
it's
about
like
that.
Ryan selling levers, that's what that was like.
Well, I think Alan obviously wants to do a few more. And obviously he's got his first taste of one at the weekend.
So you're definitely not going.
So, yeah, I think next year he probably maybe wanted to go to Donington or do something like that. So he wanted to get used to the environment at a ref, but obviously things didn't go to plan, did they? So
yeah,
he's probably got a lot of work on his hands to make sure if we do it, then it's got to be right, hasn't it?
Yeah,
you can't just turn up and expect to beat some of the World Superbike guys who've been riding the bikes 24/7.
Yeah,
if it's not the same. So yeah, I'm sure behind the scenes Alan's doing some work to make sure it makes his life and my life a bit easier.
I was about to say, well, as a team, you got James Hillier doing the Dakar and everything like that. You're a team that you just don't stop.
No.
But I tell you what, I must ask before we move on to the Patreon questions. That is a humongous tick off of your bucket list.
Yeah.
What's left on your bucket list?
To get probably...
You're only 15, so it's like, you know what I mean? You should have a big bucket list.
The next one's probably a scratch golfer. Get down to 0. That's probably bucket list.
And he'd be the only one, like, out of all his fan base in BSB, they'd be like, mint, you know, like that's shit.
Yeah, not many bike races like golf. And he's the only one on the golf going, yes. But yeah, it's like you said, it's a box ticked, but it's not a time to obviously just chill out and
no. But I mean, like, even outside of it, so you golf, like, is it what else on like get the people to get to know you? You know, you golf, you want to get scratch. Is that right? Yeah.
Get the scratch.
Honestly,
I don't know. I've never really thought about a bucket list, but it's
next year when we interview you.
Yeah.
I hope you get to the scratch, and then you'll have another bucket list on that side of things.
But like you said, it's something that everybody can never take away from me, which is.
We're going to take it. We're going to chuck you out the van and take that home with you. That's what we're going to do.
But it's a very good thing to happen in my career/life, but not just for me. That trophy is obviously mum and dad's as well, and all my sponsors from when I was a kid. So it's not. Yeah, I'm not selfish. It's not just mine. At some point, I've got to travel around Nottinghamshire and Derby and show all my sponsors this trophy and have a picture with it. So it's all it's all part of them as well.
I tell you what, like what I do love is the fact that we're sitting on your mum and dad's drive, and then your house. No, like it's actually he's a clever lad, isn't he? Because he's getting his butties. His mum owns a calf. He's not daft as Kyle. But
how far's the calf? Because you literally went back there and back in like 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's the other side of my house.
Is it?
That's even better. But like
he even bought a house closer to the calf than what his mum and dad's house is. That's perfect.
Genius. But no, but what's nice is the fact that it's you're a close family, and the fact that you're saying about sharing it, you're not 30 minutes up the road or an hour. Like poor Christian, he had to move to the north. No,
we don't even have Wi-Fi or anything.
No, with no tarmac, nothing. He understands our struggle.
We have VHS instead of fucking
floppy disks.
Yeah.
Anywho,
we have to phone each other on the cup and string, don't we? That's what we do.
No, smoke signal, son. You know what I mean? It's just, I didn't expect how close you were to your family. And it's refreshing to see that, because and you're being genuine when you say it's not just you, it's everyone around you. So no, but yet again, mate, I'm going to shake your hand. Well done,
a bit
honestly,
sweaty.
well done, mate. Honestly, well done.
Thank you.
We've got some patrons, obviously, because having the British champion on is going to generate quite a lot of interest.
So what do you have to do for that? You just
patrons.
So you tell people I'm coming on, and they give you a question.
Yep. So they get
ask anything they want.
They did that this morning. You put that this morning.
Yeah. So obviously we like you. Christian, thank you very much. You obviously got Kyle down here. We got everyone organised and went down that route. So when you're a patron, you get asked questions. You get early access to the pod before it gets released. Because I'm trying to think where we are in the timeline. So this is a week before it goes out. Yeah. So this will go to the patrons tomorrow.
Really?
On this side of things. And then we've obviously giveaways, and then we do like quizzes and just...
Okay. So get signed up if you're not already chasing the racing.
Thank you. Minimum of a £5. Bargain. Absolute bargain. There you go. So anyway, questions.
Jess, Jake and Sam, awesome job, because you asked questions actually that we've already asked. So I hope we've covered them, but thank you for those mega questions. And I saw this as well. It looked like you had an amazing day, but Andy asked about, he saw you at Cadwell Park on the two-strokes.
Yeah.
Do you enjoy riding the two-strokes?
Yeah, I love them. I've always thought or wished I was born a bit sooner when you were born. No, I'm just...
He gets one big trophy and he suddenly gets all flipping... I ain't even got a comeback for that.
But no, I wish I could have rode or raced a few two-strokes for sure. It's done him that, hasn't it?
That's brilliant.
But yeah, I wish I could have raced, for that question, I wish I could have raced at least a 250 or something before they died. I was lucky enough to ride a 125, but I think obviously being born in 97, it was already happened, do you know what I mean?
What is it you like about them?
Well, smell, noise.
It's what they represent.
Yeah, and I think BSB is like MotoGP in the 90s with just a bike that's way too fast and it's all in your hand.
Yeah.
That, for me, that's the closest to what we race now. So, and I'm lucky enough to have rode some two-strokes. This was the first time I've rode a proper 500. That was at Cadwell. Ooh. And to top it off, my dad's got a 250, so I was towing my dad round. So,
what 250s your dad got?
Well, I don't want to say it wrong, but it's nice.
It's nice.
It's a Yam 250.
Does he want to run me at the Classic TT on it? Just have a chat.
You have to ask him.
I'll have to have a chat about him. But here's the next question from Jake Gathergood. Were you going to pinch that one?
No, it wasn't. I haven't even got that one.
So Jake Gathergood.
Oh no.
Is that the one that you said,
we've done
Jake?
That one. We've covered that one. Thanks, Jake.
I know, but
What, you want to ask it anyway? We did cover it.
No, but we didn't but in the last race of the year, in your mind, was there any moment at all that you weren't going to win the championship? Yes, you pulled up on the grid.
Yeah, it was still...
I'm going to do it.
Yeah, it was the way he could pass me into Sterling's, it was always 50-50. So...
Go on.
Yeah, I never at one point thought I'm definitely winning, and there's not one point where I thought I'm definitely losing. At some point in that last lap, we was going to pass each other. I don't know how many times. So, yeah, once I passed him where I did, I just tried to defend, really, and that was that.
When he came up the inside of you at, I don't even know what that corner's called. Westfield. Did you know he wasn't making that corner?
Yes.
Yeah. So in your mind, you sort of because as the race panned out, Sterling's was his strong point.
Yeah.
However, he knew that the exit of Sterling's was your strong point and the run into paddock, so it was kind of 50-50 with what went on.
All that happened in that last race was once he caught me up with ease and set a new lap record, I thought, well, I'm in for a dogfight.
And that was impressive.
That was impressive in its own.
So 24/7 in that race he done.
Yeah, not only was it 1 point and we both had to win, he set a new lap record as well. And then we was way in front of everyone else at the time.
You're another league, the pair of you.
But all I tried to do was, in that race, I tried to pass him at every corner. So he didn't have a clue where I was going to pass him on the last lap. And the best, a lot of people told me this, but they said the best thing he did in that race was pass him into Surtees randomly. Because then on the last lap, he went in there deep and I set it right up.
Yeah.
I thought I'd set it up too much because I come out and I was like 0.2 behind. I nearly missed the slipstream and I got it absolutely perfect.
I must admit, when I watched that, I thought, you see it differently when you're racing, but I thought that's the best exit Tommy's got from that corner.
Yeah.
But you set it up differently.
I set it up differently.
Right. I thought he'd got such a good... I was like, oh, Kyle.
Yeah. I guaranteed myself...
Oh, Kyle.
Well,
Kyle.
You see these things, don't you? And probably most people wouldn't have seen that extra half metre or whatever, but when you're riding the bike, it's a big thing, isn't it?
The difference was after third gear, down past the bridge, that's what I set up, basically.
Yeah.
The speed, I topped the speed trap, basically, on the last lap by like 4 mile an hour, just because I'd set it up a bit better.
Nice.
Oh, here's a quick... Paul Bennett, oi, BSB champ. Did he get any golf days in Spain after Jerez?
No.
No, straight off, no.
No, unfortunately. I do like playing in Spain, but I like my clubs as well, so...
There we go.
Craig's asked a good one. Is there anything you would like to change in BSB to add a fun element, like extra points for longest wheelie during a race?
I agree.
I think we should have like a water splash.
Just one corner that's wet.
Just
slicks
one,
on.
yeah, exactly.
That's because he's on slicks. Mr. Slicks.
Mr. Dry line here.
Yeah.
He wouldn't give a shit.
Or I think you should have to do it like at least you have to do 3 long laps a race or something, like a Joker lane.
Add it in.
Just add something in.
Just add more grass to the edge. Get rid of this green paint stuff. Just put
I
an edge
hate
back.
green. You love green.
I'm always on the green.
He's always on the green.
I don't know what to change. It's difficult, isn't it, really?
It is, yeah.
I just think it's... For how... Yeah, I shouldn't moan about anything, really, but because I won. But the points up until the last couple of meetings, they're so tight. Even when you have a bit of a mega weekend, you sit home and you think... I didn't benefit, really.
Yeah.
So that... It worked out fine for me because when the points ramped up, I started riding really good. So I caught up a little bit easier than what it would have done at the start of the year. But yeah, I just, for what it is, if you look at it, if you lose, we get 18 points at the start of the year instead of 25, and then at the end we get 35. And I think when you add them all up, it's the same as having 25 for each race anyway.
Yes,
It's very similar. Yeah. So in my eyes, I think it's probably better just having 25 all the way
You'd prefer
through.
just have the same points. It's fair.
Because there's no showdown anymore, is there? It's called a showdown.
Yes and no, yeah.
It's so...
I see what you mean. There's not like 8 riders that come in the championship or something.
I'm gonna ask Finlow's question in a second, but what's your opinion, lads, on the championship starting later?
I didn't really think... I heard about it, but didn't really think
so it starts... the first round's Alton Park, isn't it?
As long as it finishes in the same time, it doesn't really matter. You don't want it to go that way, do you? Because it just... The weather's so... We were so lucky at Brands.
Yeah.
I prepared after Donington for at least a wet race. I prepared for it. I didn't want to do it because I've not been so good in the wet, but obviously I just come from Alton Park and I did all right.
You mean mentally you were like,
mentally,
it's going
to happen, get used to it. And I prepared that I'm just going to have to be brave. And it did. It pissed it down basically Saturday afternoon. And I was like, right, this is my test. It was always going to, for both of us, Tommy and me, there was going to be at some point that weekend a test. And that was mine, and I succeeded, thank God.
So I'm going to keep throwing random questions till the end of the show here, but I noticed this year, or even the year before, you stopped, to be blunt, messing around on pit bikes a bit more. Because I remember the first time I turned, like, you were on Tricky Dicky's, like, Supermoto, which is like, mate, that you would love that. It is a baby factory bike, that thing. What Tricky Dicky puts together, it's phenomenal. And then you've got the Bucci in there, and you were turning up and I'm breaking the studio. That's a great way to do this. But, like, why did you stop? Was it like?
I don't know. I lost a bit of interest, really.
Yeah, no, I was just curious about that because, like, at the beginning of the year, yourself, like, you've done less motocross, but then you went out to Spain and you were riding. You bought a V2 training bike, and we had your R6, and it just, and then you feel that's helped you.
I think it helped me this year having the V2. Definitely,
yeah,
it was good.
I'm just wondering because I like the pit bikes and everything like that, and I'm just you look at your peers, don't you? You look at who's going fast, and you stop the pit bikes. Was it just
lost interest, really? But as well, it's like I like helping people out. I like helping kids get faster on pit bikes and stuff. And I feel like if I get too involved, the weather's that rubbish here all the time. I'll start to book people up or I've helped kids, and then the weather, and I'll just go off it again. It's if we lived in Spain all the time, I'd ride that 3 times a week, and I'd probably break 3 engines in a year. I'd ride it that much. But here, comes Monday, and you're like, right, Thursday we'll go pit biking, and then it rains, and then you're like, well, I can't ride it for another week, and then in the end it just sits in there. So
that was more of a personal question rather than I
do enjoy doing it, but it's. If we all, like, the weather's that bad, if the weather was good, we'd probably all be in a group chat together, all of us, probably 20 of us, and we'd all book somewhere, and we'd hire it out between us. And 50 quid each, whatever. But we can't ever do that because you don't know what the weather's going to do.
That whole Spain way of living is insane. You never have to think, even motocross, you never have to think, can we go? Because is the track even going to be open? It is literally just go and ride. Same, like when we went and did a couple of track days, didn't we? And it's just, you don't even have to, it's not even a thought process, is it?
You just don't worry.
In fact, I don't even think I took wets.
No.
Because you just have half a day off if it rains. And then you know it's all right by the afternoon or whatever anyway.
There we are. But one of the final questions we're going to do, and I feel like you're going to just give me an answer straight away. Any thoughts on doing the Northwest 200? That's Finlow.
Yeah, that's probably one that... it's probably... Yeah. It's one that I've thought about doing a few times, but I still don't think I'd do it. Don't know why, but...
If I bought you a bottle of red wine...
It's just... even, I mean, I've had an experience going to watch, and I still believe they take a few more liberties there than what they do at the TT. That's why I kind of prefer the TT, because when I watch you lot, I think you're nuts anyway. But I can see the element of that you're working it out, and if something's not right, then you don't take the mic, or do you? You try and find whatever information out you can at 90% and get back and change it. Where at the Northwest, I see more scratchy.
Yeah.
If something's not right, I'll just ride through it, and it's like there's not walls there, and I wouldn't want to. I'd actually rather go and do the TT for a year than do the Northwest, because I'd just ride like a BSB track, and I feel like that could get me in trouble.
Yeah, no, I've said that for a long time. I find, personally as a rider, I find the Northwest more dangerous.
Yeah, because you can learn it a bit quicker.
You've got the mass start effect. You've got the fact you can get dragged along more because it's less technical of a circuit. Yeah. And I think also there's the effect, if Kyle turned up, there would be an expectation.
Massively.
And I also think that...
Which ain't fair, is it? Really?
Which isn't fair.
No, if anyone, if you turned up, there would be...
There'd be a podium expectation first year, I think.
Yeah. Easy.
And the fact you get dragged along, even if you're struggling for pace, you can sort of get dragged along with the slipstream effect and the slight lack of technicality. I'm not saying it's not technical. It's not easy, not one bit, but I'm just saying
it's a lot easier. It's the belief, though, isn't it? Knowing that if Glenn come past you, you think, well, I followed him last week, I'm going to do it, and you copy him, and that could get you in trouble.
Yeah.
Where if I went to the TT, even if
there is no expectation.
No, but if someone that was like between 40th and 50th come past me, I would not just hang on. I would accept that I'm going to learn this, and that's that.
Mm-hmm. I think there's also the thing of, if, let's say it wasn't for you, let's say you did decide to go and do it, you went and did the Northwest, and let's say you went and did the Isle of Man. If you got to halfway around the TT course and pulled over, I genuinely think people would go, fair play, that wasn't for him. Like, that's the right thing to do. And on the same breath, I think if you did the same thing, got halfway around the Northwest course and pulled over because it weren't for you, people would be like, "Fanny."
Yeah,
like, what's he doing, man? Like,
I agree.
And it's daft because it's too...
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
It's exactly the same thing.
There's a different thought process, I think, around the Isle of Man.
Well, the trouble is, I mean, I know my way around the Isle of Man, and I've never been around it, so I'm pretty good like that. I used to play the game when I was younger, and I've been a few.
You've been a sidecar family.
Yeah, I know my way around the TT before I've probably even done it. Probably don't know every nut and cranny, but I know my way around.
Yeah.
And like the Northwest, I've never once watched like an onboard of the Northwest, and just by watching the TV, I know where to go and probably where to brake. And I've never even been there or done a parade, so it could easily get you in trouble.
Can we not like?
So are we calling this a maybe?
Mate, I'm going to put that out as a Grace. If you could crop that, Instagram it, and just like get it slightly.
Go and get my mama and granddad. They'll tell you.
No. I think I saw them walk in. I went, no, I'm not messing with them two. No way on God's green earth. No way on God's green earth. But you got any more?
I'm done. Just mega.
Love it. Absolutely love it. So anyway, Cartagena. When's that happening?
Well, it was happening, but I think something's happened.
Cartagena's shut.
Shut
up, man.
Yeah, someone's moaned about this.
No, it's taxes. Something to do with taxes, not paid taxes.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, shut it down for a few months. Because Alan always...
Well, they haven't paid taxes into the gravel trap fund, have they? Things full of bricks and all sorts.
Basically, yeah.
Because I was like, it was like always the unofficial test of that. Like, 'cause obviously, like Joe was, I was going to go and ride for the WTF element and stuff like that. I was getting, I've heard nothing, like absolutely nothing. But that's why
it's basic. Well, obviously, I went to Andalusia before Jerez, and Paul and Alan was trying to get the same dates basically and go to that track instead. But I don't know what's happening.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure that Cartagena is a no-go.
Right. Well, there we go. Because like you say, when Brad did the lap record and stuff like that, there's always spies going, how are their lap times getting on? You know what I mean? It's but no, we'll see. But yet again, thank you so much for coming on the show. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's just class. And I feel like we'll probably do a catch up with you, Christian, to see what your season went like and everything like that. I feel it's for ages since we've had you on.
It was
you know what I mean?
far less successful.
Wait, you smashed your foot. Yeah.
Done.
If you want it in a nutshell.
Yeah, that's pretty much the sum of it.
As you can see by my lack of trophy.
Yeah.
Just a coffee.
Yeah.
That's it. Well, you did get to plug his mum, so it's, there's victories and everything, mate. There's victories.
Worth the journey.
Worth the journey.
Are you going to read the? Are you going to go back over our
I feel
episode
like you should
sponsor?
Go.
You want me to?
I think you go for it.
Right.
Obviously, this show's brought to you by OMG Racing.
Yes.
JCT Truck and Trailer Hire, and our episode sponsor is Go for it.
Quick Shifter Coffee.
Nice.
Selling motorbike themed coffee and merch online, including the super popular 1 cup coffee bag. Do you want to give it a?
I will.
Give it.
In fact, give it a Kyle Ryde.
Wow,
nice.
Look at that.
Gorilla in front of him as well.
Do we need more information about this?
Well, they've also got both whole bean and ground coffee bags in the Garage Blend 37.7, single origin, and of course the Chasin The Racin blend in partnership with the podcast. They obviously last year released the Chrissy's blend with 69 of them individually numbered bags, which sold out.
Sold out immediately.
Yeah, within 24 hours. And yeah, as you said before, they just opened a new coffee shop in Wells, Somerset, called Garage 6. So if you're in that area, I don't know what area that is. Obviously the Somerset area, but I don't know that area of the country. But if I'm ever there, I'm going to go. And they're installing a large screen to show racing, which is cool. More info available on the Quick Shifter Coffee website, or follow their social media on Facebook and Instagram to see more. So thank you to them for sponsoring this episode.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Well done, mate. Well done. But no, yet again, thank you so much, lads. And let's go to your mum's cafe again. Let's get some more toasties.
Whoa.
That's a hell of a
Might
night.
be short.
Oh, no.
No
Quick.
way. Bollocks to that. We'll go break the door down and be good. But no, hey guys, thank you so much yet again. And we'll catch you on Chasin The Racin next time.
See you later.
See you in a bit.
Cheers.